This is the People Before Politics show, broadcast every Sunday at 6 p.m. Hosts Damon K. Jones and AJ Woodson bring you the news that impacts our community. Join us for unfiltered, unapologetic coverage of the stories that matter most. Black Westchester Magazine presents the People Before Politics show, the news with the Black point of view.
Good evening, everybody. This is Black Westchester Magazine, and we're here. Can you hear that, AJ?
Yep, a little bit, but I heard it.
Oh, let me turn it up there. You get a bigger round of applause. We're on another system, so now I got to relearn StreamYard. And I have to relearn StreamYard. We went over the EV Mux, but StreamYard is kind of better with the streaming.
Yo, when you say AJ, can you hear that? My iPhone answered you. Yeah, I hear it. It's 5:59. I was like, wait, what?
So welcome everybody on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Instagram. Peace and blessings to everybody. This is the 2nd of March. This is the 2nd of March.
Yes.
We're moving right along in the year, and it's just a lot of things going on, man.
When I woke up this morning, I remembered of something my mother used to say all the time when I was younger. March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. Like it's been like 50 the last few days. Yo, it was like real cold this morning. I was like real cold this morning.
Yeah, man.
Well, they talking about some snow a little bit later or something.
Well, it's always snowing up here, bro. It ain't nothing. It ain't nothing new. Thank God for the HOA. I ain't gotta shovel nothing. I just look out the window and they're doing it, and just pull my car out and let them do the driveway, man. That was one of the reasons one of the selling points of buying this house up here, man, because I didn't have to shovel no snow. If I would have to shovel no snow, I wouldn't have left, bro. I would have just stayed in Mount Vernon because, and it's crazy. So I took, I had to go to the doctor's last week. I've been out of it for about 2 weeks because I had operation on my foot. So I've been like just having my foot elevated because it's my feet, man. I got to get around, man. I can't get on my treadmill. I can't get on my Peloton bike. I can't do anything because I got to get my feet right. So I've been really like just sitting in bed, elevating my feet, trying to get the process of healing. And so I took my wife is always late with everything. It's always something. So she got backed up. So I took a Uber over to the doctor because he had to take the bandages off. And so I took an Uber over to the doctor and talking. It's funny, man, how I don't come out the complex, right? I stay in my little area. I know about 6 families in the complex, and I just deal with them people, and I just come home. And the Uber driver started asking questions. He was like, hey, man, how you like the house? How you like the area? And I'm like, yo, I like it. How long you been here? And he lives in the complex. And not only that, he moved from Mount Vernon.
Oh, words.
So we started talking, and and he's up on all the news. He's like, yo, how about that controller losing all that money? Like, we're riding and we're talking about everything that's going on in Mount Vernon, right? And he's like, yo, he lived there, he got up out of there, same thing. His wife tricked him like my wife tricked me to move up here. And then, he ended up retiring, and I'm retired. But it was just funny, man, just to meet somebody in the complex. Like, that's the 4th family that I met in this complex that's from Mount Vernon.
Oh, wow.
That moved. My next door neighbor, God bless the dead, he died. His wife is still alive, his sons and stuff, but they actually lived in the projects.
Wow.
And they ended up buying a house up here. And then COVID, God bless him. He went to the hospital because he had an asthma attack. And his wife thinks he caught the COVID in the hospital. And then he got sick and he later passed. And and I see all the time, man. And one day we was talking, man, and it was just like I felt real bad because she blames herself because she forgot to get his medication. So he ended up going to the hospital because he didn't have the medication. And he caught COVID and passed away, man. He was a good brother, man. Good brother.
That happened to Bob's grandfather, I believe grandfather. He was in Lawrence Hospital when that first case came to the hospital, came to Lawrence. And basically, I guess they had the same nurses or something, and he ended up catching it, and he was real ill. So I was like, that's crazy. So, I know we want to get a guest going in, but I just wanted to highlight at least two stories.
I'm getting ready to bring.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
There we go. So, I think the first story, man, we definitely got to talk about Angie Stone.
Yes.
She. Well, go ahead, AJ. I'm just gonna kind of read the beginning of it. It's Grammy-nominated R&B singer Angie Stone was killed early Saturday in a car crash. She was 63. At about 4 a.m., the vehicle she was riding in back to Atlanta from Alabama flipped over and was subsequently hit by a big rig. Music producer and Stone's longtime manager Walter Millsap told Associated Press. The Alabama Highway Patrol said in a news release that a 2021 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van turned over on the Interstate 65 about 4:25 a.m. Saturday before being hit by a 2021 Freightliner truck driven by a 33-year-old man from Texas. Angie Stone was pronounced dead at the scene, the Highway Patrol said. The crash happened about 5 miles south of Montgomery city limits. So that's what happened. But, I wanted to properly pay tribute to her. One, the beginning as we kick off Women's History Month. And just she had a wealth of knowledge. And, and I'm like, kicking off Women's History Month, Black Westchester wanted to celebrate the life and legacy of our sister Angie Stone. To be honest, the passing of the R&B goddess Angie Stone hit me way harder than I expected. So I wanted to make sure I recognized her, celebrated her. She was widely recognized for her sultry vocals. Actually, but what most people didn't know, she had deep roots in hip hop. She was a member of the group Sequence, an all-female trio from Columbia, South Carolina. They met in high school. They originally were singers and cheerleaders until they heard the song King Tim III by a Fatback Band and decided to incorporate hip hop and rapping into what they're doing. Their big break came when they snuck backstage at the Township Auditorium in South Carolina for a Sugar Hill Gang concert and auditioned for Sylvia Robinson, the founder of Sugar Hill Records, who was impressed by their talents. Sylvia also made history as the first woman to own a major rap label. She invited them to Jersey and led to the debut song Funk You Up later that year. And they made history as the first female rap group and the first Southern rap act to record a record. She later married her label mate, Lil Rodney C of the Funky 4 Plus One More, whose real name is Rodney Stone. Elements of their song Funk You Up was later used by Dr. Dre for his 1995 single Keep Their Heads Ringing. Sequence backed Spoonie G on the single Monster Jam. Their single Funky Sound, Tear the Roof Off was a remake of the single Get Up the Funk, Tear the Roof Off the Sucker by Parliament. She also
did a duet with Yonkers native Styles P of the Locks on his Gangster and the Gentleman album, on a song called Black Magic, which is got to be one of my favorite rap R&B collabos. Then she went on to be in an R&B group. Then she got her deal and she went solo. And her first major single was No More Rain in This Cloud. No More Rain in This Cloud. I interviewed Angie for one of the mini magazines I was writing for at the time when she was, doing her press for her debut album, doing her first press. And she told me that expression, No More Rain in This Cloud, is something her father used to say when she used to come to him for money. And she'd come back to him for some money. He's like, baby, sorry, there ain't no more rain in this cloud. Right? She said that's where the expression comes from. So I was like, yo, that's dope. Like, I always remember that. But I don't remember seeing that too many places. I don't know if I'm one of the few people she told, but or nobody else decided to write about it. But yo, she went on to do a whole bunch of stuff. But yo, she's hip hop history. And lastly, I just want to say, she's remembered for a lot of songs, but one of my favorite joints on her second album, Mahogany Soul, she expressed how she feel about Black brothers. Black brother, I love you. I'll never hurt you. I want to know you. I'm here for you. True forever. It was just a Black woman's love song to her Black brothers. Very good song. One of my favorite joints. And she had everybody in the music video, from Will Smith to Calvin Richardson to Luther Vandross to Sinbad, Avant, Lorenz Tate, images of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali, and Colin Powell. It was just like a love song to Black brothers. It's one of the dopest joints that a sister could do, expressing her love. When a lot of songs is about, they don't need the brother no more, the brother did them wrong, or kind of like F the brother type songs. This was like a love song. This is like a love song.
Exactly.
A love song to brothers. And yo, to me, that just was dope. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to highlight that. There was a remake of the song with Alicia Keys and Eve. And then she survived by her 2 children, Diamond Stone, which she had by Lil Rodney C, and Michael Archer, who it was from D'Angelo. You know what I'm saying? And he decided to get into the music business. And you can read more about it on the tribute, but I wanted to celebrate her, and I really wanted to celebrate her hip hop roots, because she is a hip hop pioneer, the first female rap group to make a record, and the first Southern rap artist to make a record. That's huge. You know what I'm saying? You had
Right.
King the Third, you had Rapper's Delight, you had Spoonie G, and you had that. There was like 4 or 5 records that came out in '79, and she was one of them. So, I just wanted to pay tribute to her. Her loss, really
very tragic.
Yeah, her loss hit me. There's a lot of it's a lot of everybody got theories on what happened, and I won't get into all of that. I just wanted to celebrate her, and hopefully I did a good job. Right. And I want y'all all go to blackwestchester.com. You'll see us on the main page. Read it. Leave a comment about the sister. Yeah, leave a comment about the sister, what she meant to you, what your favorite song was, all that. And the second one, which you can read about on Black Westchester, we lost the matriarch of New York State NAACP, Hazel Dukes, who also passed this weekend. And I got a whole piece in there, and I talked to many of the local NAACP branch presidents. Janice left a comment, or sending me a comment. New Rochelle left a comment. Yonkers left a comment. Port Chester Rye left a comment. Osnan left a comment. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to, being we Black Westchester, I wanted to celebrate her with all the Westchester chapters. And I wrote that, and that was a nice piece paying tribute to her. She did a lot, more than I knew. And I hope when reading both of those pieces, people learn something that they didn't know. about both ladies. So there's a lot more for you to check out. Damon got a lot of dope pieces. Make sure you check Black Westchester every day. We're trying to update it almost every day. BlackWestchester.com, the news with the Black point of view since 2014. You know what I'm saying? We keep it free. One of the few things that is still free. There's no paywall. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's brought to you by advertisers and people, donations and sponsors like you who help keep it free for the people. So Jack June said they got a video, Angie Stone talking about her royalties about her royalties were being stolen from her, and she and the only one who died out of the 9 people. There's a lot going on that this happened just as she was fighting the situation. I really don't know all about it yet. That's why I didn't really get into it. I will be digging into that and probably doing a story on that. But for this piece today, I just really wanted to just celebrate her first. Then I'm going to get all into that, Jack. We're going to get all into that. But that's what I'm saying. There's a lot being said about, like, almost there was some suspicious about her death. Like, a lot of money. She had a lot of money coming her way just before she died.
Right. Well, hey man, that's what I was watching a video of them talking about the same thing with DJ Scott LaRock. The music industry, the music industry is just straight up evil. It's straight up evil. So, I would never put it surpass anybody in the music industry how they've done other artists, and artists have died, broke, and their talents would have been used and abused, and they literally, got no money from it. So
shout
I
out
wouldn't
to
put it past.
Shout out to DJ Scott LaRock. He was on B-Boy Records. He started B-Boy Records that I was on. We actually got signed. Actually got to meet him once or twice. We got signed 6 months before he died. He died, and while there's a lot being said, he was out helping somebody else who was in trouble, who they were looking for, and he was in a Jeep. They were going to protect their brother. He was going to protect D Nice. They were coming for D Nice, and they saw him. They saw him in the passenger seat of the Jeep, and they ran up and they shot him. So, but shout out to that brother, because he created the format for me to, make records. Like B-Boy Records was his vision, with Rock Candy Records, and for him at KRS. So we were the next group to come out on that label. And shout out to my man, Talented Comedian, because he was the next group to come out on that label.
So the other article is with the Pope sick. We could have the first Black Pope, Cardinal Robert Sarah. He could be the first Black Pope ever. I can't even pronounce the name. I ain't even gonna mess it up. Man.
He got that look like too black, too strong. They might not let him be a pope. He got that too black, too strong.
Exactly. Now, this is the thing. They said he's very conservative. And you know what that, and when they say he's very conservative, there's certain things he's old school Catholic.
Yes.
And that's going to be his problem. And he had stepped away. There was a position he stepped down from because he didn't like the direction that the Catholic Church was taking. But for those in that, I don't know how it worked, that wants to take it back to the conservative wing, the conservative wing of the Catholic Church, he's going to be the one that they're going to pick. Because he looked like he ain't about that. He about that life. He about that Catholic life.
Yeah, they vote that one group of people. They vote on it over and over until they get one. There's a movie with Tom Hanks. One of those movies, the second one where he deals into religion and I forgot what his position was. And the Pope dies and they pick the new Pope and they show that process and they keep going on and on until they pick one. Yeah,
and whether we like it or not, Byron Donalds looks to make history as the first black governor of Florida. He has put his hat in the ring, and he's already he's already he's already got the endorsement of Donald Trump. So we're gonna see how that works, because they say that what is it? DeSantis? Yeah, DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is nominating his wife. He can support his wife, almost like the Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton.
Wait. So you said this brother has the support of Donald Trump?
Yeah, he's a Republican.
No, that means Don, what's his name? DeSantis, whatever, has fell out of grace with Trump. Then that's what that means, because that was his boy.
No, he can't run. He's termed out.
Oh, he termed out. Okay.
He's termed out. So he can't run. He can't run. They don't have nothing bad to say about DeSantis, dude. He's getting ready. He's proposing to get rid of property taxes in Florida.
Oh, they gonna love that. No state tax already. They gonna love that.
But the argument that he's making, it's correct. He's saying, here you go, you pay off your house. You pay off your house, and it gains. You pay it's $300,000. 10 years later, it's $700,000. He said, why are you paying taxes on the $700,000 when you never even utilized the $700,000? So you continue to pay taxes on something that you haven't pulled no money out the house. You don't have no mortgage on the house. So he's saying like that, it's a scam. That's what basically he's saying. And he's pushing the legislative body in Florida to get rid of property taxes.
That's going to be attractive to a lot of people. Some of our athletes like LeBron James, when they wanted to play with Dwayne Wade, they were going to all go to one team. One of the selling points for them going to Miami and taking a little less so they could all play together, it was no state taxes there. So that means you keep taxes. Right. So you keep a much more. Yeah. You keep more of your money, and now you take the property tax away. That's even more appealing.
I might move to Florida, because look, if you're retired and you're only getting one check a month, what about property taxes
on your car? What is property taxes?
I don't know about that. I'm talking about housing.
They have that in Florida. You don't pay nobody else. You don't pay property tax on your car in New York, right? You don't pay property tax.
I think when you do the registration, there's like a tax or something.
Oh.
So and before we get to my man, to our guest, of course everybody know Andrew Cuomo's decided he's running for mayor. So that's
he just made it official, because he has been number one in the polls for the last 2 months or so. Every poll that has come out, he has been high or number one, way up in the race. So I had caught the word that he was gonna last month, that he was announcing the end of February. So I guess it just did March 2nd or March 1st he made his announcement. But I had got the word that he was finally going to announce. A lot of people like Cuomo, and a lot of people that I talked to in New York, because I covered the New York mayor race for my fellowship for the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism when Eric won, and so I still have a lot of contacts out there, and a lot of people are saying they like Cuomo.
Well, I mean, look, Eric. Listen, man. Let's be honest, man. Eric's just trying to stay out of jail, bro. And I don't blame him. Now, if he happens to get reelected, that's the people's decision.
Well, that's the people. That is the people's decision. If he gets reelected, you can say whatever you want about him.
Exactly.
But the people have spoken. Yeah.
That's the people of New York. That's the people of New York decision. Has he been a horrible mayor? No, he hasn't. Has he had issues being mayor? Absolutely. But
and to be honest, he ain't been no more arrogant than Giuliani was when he was mayor.
Exactly.
He ain't because a lot of people talk about his arrogance. He's been no more arrogant than Giuliani.
Well,
Giuliani was extremely arrogant.
No, well, it's a whole nother. I'm going to bring my man Israel in because there's a whole nother discussion about that needs to happen about masculinity in the Democratic Party, because if you see, there's not a lot of masculine men in the Democratic Party. I'm just being straight up. So when you carry yourself in a certain manner, you get attacked. And this is one of the reasons why they lost a lot of the young vote, all colors, over to the Republican Party, because they didn't see that masculine type of leadership coming out of the Republican Party. I mean, the Democratic Party. That's a discussion for another day. I want to get to my man. I want to bring my man on. Israel Sanchez, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No, man. Thanks for coming on, man.
Glad to be here.
So I invited you on, man. We know what are you laughing for, man? Like
Jack's last comment. Last comment.
Eric Adams put white women in their place.
I was just laughing because I was like,
and you know,
Jack definitely has no problem saying it.
Nah, man, listen, Jack is the 3-star general of Black Westchester, bro. I already named him that. But we got my brother Israel here, who's a retired sergeant, correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, retired sergeant from New York State Correctional Facility, and actually he worked at Sing Sing. And you know, it's crazy. My uncle worked at Sing Sing years ago, and then he was the warden at Bedford. Then he ended up doing something else, you know. And I've been meaning to contact New York State to get all my information on my uncle, because he passed 2 years after I graduated the academy for Westchester Correction. He passed away, and so I understand it. And being retired correctional officer, I get it. And we are the most under-respected body of law enforcement in New York State.
Can I say one thing real quick? I wouldn't be remiss if, and I know this has nothing to do, but since you said Sing Sing, a brother I went to high school in Mount Vernon, he did 17 years of Sing Sing. He changed his life around, got into Shakespeare and stuff, came out, wrote a screenplay called Sing Sing the Movie, and is nominated for an Oscar tonight. You know what I'm saying? I just right. Really needed to shout that out because that's going to happen tonight. Now, just the fact, the way he came from and Damon, he was our real life Omar from The Wire. That's who he used to be back in the days. He was getting it in. So he did 17 years, and he's a nominee for Best Adapted Screenplay for Sing Sing the Movie. So I just wanted to shout that out because that's going out. That's happening today, and y'all talked about Sing Sing, so I just wanted to shout him out.
Okay.
Right, but we're talking about the conditions.
No, I got that. I just wanted to.
We're talking.
Sing Sing.
We're talking about the conditions that correctional officers face, and I know a lot of state correctional officers, man, and but brother, just let the people know, because sometimes, you know, outside of TV and plays, like, people don't really understand the life it is of a correction officer when you go behind those doors and work every day.
We're demonized by a lot of people in society who really don't understand the good that we actually do in there on a daily basis. Like, I've saved many lives in my 26 years doing that job, you know, whether it was from suicide or drug overdoses. People don't hear about that. You know, I saved the same person twice in 7 days.
Wow. I believe it. And what are the conditions that the officers are striking over?
Well, since the pandemic, and this is about 5 years ago, we started to have a staffing crisis. We were getting mandated to work. People were sick. So you had a lot of staff either quit or retire from the job because they couldn't take it anymore. That snowballed into what they're dealing with today. It's even worse. They're being mandated to work 16 and 24-hour shifts just about every day.
Really?
Yes. Every day. They're so short of staff, and the state of New York has done nothing to remedy that situation. This governor went live on TV and said she didn't know why we were striking, what our issues were. We've been going over these issues with her for 5 years. She knew what we're out there for.
Right. Right.
Then to make matters worse, our commissioner gets on the news earlier this month and says 70 is the new 100, meaning 70% of staff is the new 100%. That to staff, that meant, you know what? They're never going to remedy this. We have to do something.
Right. Let me ask you a question, because I know with our facility, right, even though the population is down, I was told that there are state mandates of another number of officers you have to have in a facility determining the beds, not the number of inmates. So if you have, let's say you have a 750 population, but your bed count in the facility is 3,000, you still have to man it as it's 3,000. You understand what I'm saying? So does that work with y'all?
No, we're actually 100 below the number that we're supposed to have as far as officers. Yes.
So they're violating their own state mandate.
Yes, they are. And like I said, they've done nothing to remedy it. Nothing. Nobody wants the job anymore. I can't even recommend the job to anybody I know. Wow. This governor, in her last proposal, she proposed a $1,500 bonus if we could recommend anyone to the job and they clear probation. I don't know anybody I could recommend a job to.
Wow. Because I know before I retired, we was getting a lot of officers from state coming to Westchester County.
You're going to continue because these counties, they make more money, right? Listen to the reality of this, right? They make more money, right? Some of these counties, they're giving them a bonus to leave the state to go to the county, right? They keep their retirement time and they're close to the home and they're not getting mandated to work every day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who wouldn't take that deal?
Exactly. Damn, I didn't know it was that bad, bro.
I just lost one of my officers, 3 years on the job. Really good officer. He got hired by one of the counties upstate. He's close to home now, about 10 minutes from home, making more money, and he's not getting mandated every day. Come on, man. Who wouldn't turn that down?
Yeah, you're right. So like what has been the response from the state? Like, so who do y'all negotiate with? Do y'all negotiate with like a certain appointee of the governor, or you negotiate with the governor herself?
With the governor's office. We've been in talks with the governor's office discussing these issues for 5 years. And like I said, they've fallen on deaf ears. What she did was, in this last proposal, she threw us some money, like money is going to cure this. Right. You could give me $1 million, and if I'm not safe every day, I don't want to do that job.
Right. And how many officers per inmate on a housing unit?
On a housing unit?
Yeah.
If you're in one of the big blocks, right, you're talking about 2 officers per 110 inmates.
Say that again. Wait, what?
On a big gallery, let's say a big gallery, you have 120 inmates on both sides, because there's 2 sides of a tier, right? And you have 2 officers, right? But only one officer is up there regularly because they pull the other officer to do other things like escorts, medication runs, things of that nature. Whatever else the incarcerated individuals need, that second officer, he's doing those tasks on a daily basis, running recreation, running gym. So a good portion of the day, there's only one officer on that gallery dealing with those individuals.
And how many inmates again?
He said 2 to 100 to
on two
something.
sides, 60 on one side, 60 on the other side. So you're talking about 120?
120. That's double R's. That's double R's, and you're right. So if you got two officers, they're going to pull it. So is one one officer. And this is this is the thing I used to say to a lot of the reformers. I said part of the issue is that you only have one officer working the block, whether it's 60 or 120. That's a lot. That's a lot for one person to do. I mean, we do it.
And then take into consideration all the other duties that came with HALT, humane alternatives to long-term solitary confinement. The state of New York passed this legislation knowing we were shorthanded, and it did nothing to hire staff to do these extra duties now that are required by law.
Exactly. I
found a quote from one of the correction officers that was striking. He said, because of the state's inability to get more people on the job, they have us working 16-hour shifts mandatory, 24-hour shifts mandatory, and it's hurting us. We need the state to understand this is serious. Our safety is in doubt. Every day we walk inside those walls and have no idea what we're going to walk out. When we're going to walk out. Oh, if we're going to walk out the same way we walked in. That was one of the quotes from Danny Texador. He's a correctional officer they quoted in the Low Hut story.
Yes.
Yeah, they got one story where the National Guard said that it's worse than Afghanistan. It's just what see people. I think, man, like.
And that wasn't. I'm sorry. That wasn't and it wasn't an exaggeration either. I was in Iraq in 03-04. I was there for the ground campaign. I'm going to tell you, after we built up the country, after 6 months, I was living better out there than some of these troops are living in the jail.
Wow.
Well, this other part that I want to read from the article: Governor Hochul files injunction under Taylor law to end strike. Just before 4:30 Wednesday, Governor Hochul announced New York filed an injunction under the Taylor law, and a judge granted a temporary restraining order mandating striking correction officers to cease the illegal activity.
Yes.
That's
talk about the Taylor law for people that don't know what the Taylor law is, Israel.
The Taylor law basically forbids public employees from going on strike. And if they do, there's penalties and all type of things that come with that.
Right.
Like these guys that are out on strike, the penalty is going to be 2 days for each 1 day they took off when they actually return to work.
Now are they calling in sick, or are they just like, we ain't coming to work?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay. Yeah, because we used to do like the little blue flu, like people just don't come use up their sick time and stuff. And
then you have some that are legitimately out that are on workers' comp because they got hurt. The department is ordering them back to work when they haven't even been cleared to return to work.
Wow.
You have some that have the Family Medical Leave Act that are out on that, and the state is mandating them to come back to work, which is illegal, by the way.
Right. Absolutely. So what can we do, man? Like what can people, family members or correction officers, whether they're active or retired, what can we do to help y'all guys get what y'all need?
We need to all continue to keep this pressure on our legislators.
Okay.
They're the ones that can change this. They have the power to change this, but they need to know how this affects us.
Right.
Everyone should be reaching out.
Right. Okay, great.
And that goes for all our listeners. That goes for everybody who's a voting member, who's a registered voter. You have the right to say, you elect the people that are in there that are making the decisions.
That's
and
right.
we say that with everything. So if you feel like this is something that you do not agree with, you need to be vocal. You need to contact your state assembly persons, your state senators, and you need to let them know that you are not feeling this. They I don't know how often they're up for re-election, but they got elections in. If they want their seat back and enough people say, yo, we're not with this, you're going to have to change this, you're going to have to give them what they want, or we're not voting for you, you will get their attention, like in everything else.
And on the other end of that argument, people don't realize this doesn't just affect us as security staff. It also affects the incarcerated individuals.
Exactly.
They're being attacked more. If there's no consequence for them attacking each other, that's a major problem.
Exactly. Everybody's in danger.
I retired 2 years ago because I didn't feel safe in there anymore. I felt we were going to lose one of these jails. I didn't want to be there for that.
Wow.
That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is.
Wow. Yeah, we got to bring more attention to this, man. We definitely. I mean, look, a lot of times when incidents happen that are bad, it gets more attention than the actual safety and security of the facility. And I think we have to talk about both. When people cross the line, but we have to, because the thing that happened to that young man, the correctional officers I saw, I was disgusted. But as we know, man, there's a lot of good officers that go to work every day, follow the rules, do their job, come to work on time, don't call in sick, just trying to feed their family, man.
The fact is, right? I'm sorry not to interrupt you, but the fact is that most of us that go in there every day, we're negotiators. We negotiate so that things don't have to get that bad. Right? There have been plenty instances where I've talked individuals down so it didn't have to lead to a use of force.
Exactly.
And most of us do that on a daily basis, multiple times.
I say that all the time. I said, I was on the police reimagining the police committee for Westchester County. And one thing that we recommended that they never followed through with is that when the police are in the academy, they need to come in the jail for 2 weeks and learn how to speak and de-escalate with the mouth, because they will find themselves that they're able to do that like we do, because we don't have guns and tasers and none of that stuff. So we have to use our brains, and if they do that, you will find that there will be less questionable incidents and shootings and all that, in the communities, because, the officer will be trained to use his brain more than the gun or the taser or anything like that. Because
are there some states that require that? That require the the officer to start out as a CO and before they go into the street?
Well, Florida Sheriff's Department.
Right, that's what it was.
In Florida, the Sheriff's Department, but they work in the street and in the jail. But you have to do 2 years in the jail before you go on the street. So by the time you get on the street, your mindset is a little different in de-escalating and dealing with use of force than it is as someone that is just a regular police officer. How you deal with situations, like I would never think of shooting a guy with a knife. I would think about beating his ass. Because he actually pulled a knife out on me, right? You disrespected me like that. I wouldn't even think about shooting nobody with a knife. Never.
You know what? I want to say something on a personal level. So we went somewhere, Damon, me, you, your wife, I think Andre Wallace or whatever, a local establishment, a big fight or whatever broke out. Somebody got stabbed, and I actually watched you for the first time in your professional capacity de-escalate the situation and take control of it before the New Rochelle police officers even got there. You had already de-escalated the situation on the scene. You had already kind of like got control of the situation. And then your wife, she's a detective. Y'all already had control of the situation before.
That's what whatchamacallit got stabbed. And rendered first aid because part of his gut was hanging out his goddamn, while everybody else was screaming, ah! And part of his gut was hanging out of his stomach. And I got the knife.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So when the cops came, when the New Rochelle Police Department, Damon was like, "Okay, arrest that one." The knife was under his foot. This one, he's back. Like basically, he had control of the situation already, and he de-escalated. And I personally saw this in real time because I'm not in the jail with Damon, so I'm only on the outside. I've never seen what he go through on the inside. I've never seen him in action, but I saw him at an establishment. I saw him in action, and I can attest to. I've been in situations like that where the police come, you know what I'm saying? And the situation looks a lot different than when I saw it.
And it was funny because the guy was like, yo, that's my knife. And I put my foot on the knife. I said, come get it. I said, come get your knife. I said, come get it. Because I'm giving this to the police. Come get your knife.
Jack Toon said, Damon, de-escalate? You sure? But I'm just saying, like, as a personal, like, I personally witnessed that, and I've seen the interactions, many interactions with police encounters and situations like that, and I saw the de-escalation that I don't always see. I'm not saying no cops do this, but I'm saying I don't see this as often with police, and I seen that, and I guess that comes from you being a correction officer again, and you having to do that inside because you don't have a weapon. And I just wanted to bring that out. And the reason it's important to have this show, you know, when we read about these situations and we hear about these situations, I'm not in law enforcement. We only hear what the media is saying. We only hear what there's usually no face with the correction officer. There's usually no what the correction officer goes through. You know what I'm saying? Just like, you know, with police, me and Damon had to explain to people, when the police stop you, the first 30 seconds, they don't know what they're walking up on. So you have to be, and it's important that we have these conversations so people, regular people like me, get to understand what I hear it every day with Damon for the last, whatever many years. I've known him since the 90s. So I've been hearing this for the longest, but most people don't get to hear that. And you put a face to that. And I think that's why it's important to have you and have this conversation.
Yeah. Jack Toon asked, he said, what is the average salary for a state correctional officer?
You know what? I couldn't even tell you what the starting salary is. I've been retired and out of the loop. I'd be lying if I gave you a number, but it's available on the civil service website. And I know we're making less than all the other counties in New York State.
Yeah. Well, that I do know. I do know that. Because I had talked. I don't know if you know. He came from Sing Sing. He was on Orange Crush. Virgil Smith.
So according
I know.
Yeah. He came. He blames me because our ex-wives, right, were partners in probation. And we went out to dinner, and he always tells his story. We went out to dinner, and I'm eating, and I said, "Yo, man, how much you make?" He told me. I was like, "Yo, dude, you need to come to us." And then I told him what I made, and he was like, "Damn." And next thing you know, I popped up, and I go in the briefing, and he's standing there. He's standing there, but then he had to adjust because he whipped a couple of them supervisors' ass. He brought that state attitude, and some of them wasn't ready for it. But I mean, we lost a couple of state guys because they just couldn't. It was a different environment.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely a readjustment. I've heard it.
Yeah, I just looked it up. I just looked it up for Jack. It says the starting salary for New York State Correction Officer trainee is $56,465.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that, but it's dated 2022. That's why I didn't want to give you that number.
Okay, that's what came up because I put starting salary for New York State. That's what came up.
Yeah, we're 3 years past that. It's a little bit more, not much more than that number you're looking at.
Right.
And then I'm looking somewhere it says up to 75K. So I don't know if that's more current.
Yeah. Well, the average law enforcement department now is making over 100K a year, top pay.
Well, in this article it says 59, almost 60,000, and after 1 year, 72, almost 73,000.
Yeah, so they're about 30,000, 40,000 short.
So
Yeah,
you see where our recruitment problem is, right?
yeah, because I think correction now in Westchester County is 100 and about 110
Yeah,
top
yeah.
end.
Israel,
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
always tell the story. I always tell the story. So, I used to write for all these music magazines and stuff, and me and Damon. So Damon used to come with me all to a lot of events and stuff. So they're having this listening party for the rapper Beanie Siegel. He's in jail, but his mother and everybody's there. And Dame Dash, the character that's with Jay-Z, he's a flashy Harlem dude. And Damon is sitting in there with his phone, his two-way pager, his jewelry, and everything. And Dame Dash is like the whole time, like looking at Damon, like, well, who's this dude? Like he was paid because Damon looked like one of the rap executives or whatever, and that was from corrections. You know what I'm saying? That was like, this is like, but so that was from corrections, and he looked like when we would go to these places, he looked like one of them. Like a Dame Dad, like one of them rap execs with the jewelry and all that and everything and the phones and all that. He was, but his was legal. His was from a legit job.
From working.
Yeah.
From honestly working, man. But yeah. Listen, man. Whatever we can do as Black Westchester, man, please let us know, bro. Like, whatever you need to get out. Let us know if there's any statements from the unions or anything.
Yeah,
you got my number. Yeah, you got my number, brother.
Great.
We'll post it. We'll definitely post it because people correction officers need to get the respect, and which they don't. Whether it's even in the county, and Rikers, forget about it. Like state, like we really. I remember. There was a coalition when Norman Seabrook, they had started a whole coalition. Then after Norman Seabrook went to jail, the coalition fell apart. But, I think it has to happen, and if the union president is not willing to speak truth to power like it needs to be spoken, then, I think the retirees need to, do what they got to do and really call a spade and maybe, Hoke will need to be, this would be her last term,
I'm hoping you're right.
Yeah, the sentiment. No, man, listen, bro. If the state correction officers, if the county correction officers, get together and block vote, it will be her last.
I was gonna say, do you know what a big block of votes that is? Do you know?
I've been telling everyone that's what we need to do. Get our families and friends out to vote.
Exactly. Yeah, they gotta start. Look, there's one thing. When I was a union delegate for 13 years, and Joe Spano, who is now the commissioner in Westchester County, he was the union president. And one thing that he stressed, and the union lawyer at the time, Robert Goodstein, God bless the dead, they specifically said every delegate needs to be a registered voter, no matter what party. And at that time, when I started in 1990, everybody was down with the Republicans, believe it or not, right, in Westchester County. And it was like everybody register. If you already registered, fine. If you're not registered, make sure you register as a Republican, because right now they're our friends, right? And the crazy thing about it was a block vote, man. Like, you had to be invested. You had to be invested in your politicians, because those are the ones that give you raises. Those are the ones that vote on your health care, your dental, and your safety. So, if you're a state correction officer, I don't give a shit, even if you're a county correction officer. And if you're not vested, and a lot of times with the county, a lot of us don't live in the county that we work for, right? But You do live in the state. You do live in the state. And when you see state correction officers that are going through this, y'all need to block vote with these state correction officers.
Definitely.
Hochul should be gone. Hochul should be gone. I ain't telling you who to vote for, but I'm saying you shouldn't be voting for Hochul if your brothers and sisters, correction officers, are going through this under her administration. That's the only way politicians learn is when they lose. That's the only time.
She's not doing anything for anyone. That's right. She got to go.
But exactly. I want to also say, not only just the correction officers, I want to speak to the registered voters of New York State. Like, again, I'm not coming from a law enforcement, and I know, being black, the stigma of law enforcement and everything like that. But just think, if your job made you mandatory work 16-hour shifts or 24-hour shifts mandatory, just how effective would you be? Like, you would be up in arms. I don't care what job you got. You know what I'm saying? If you went into work and you just had to do like double shifts and triple shifts, like, you know what I'm saying? It was mandatory and you couldn't go home.
That's right.
You understand? And that was the rule of you would have a problem. Yeah. I mean, I don't care if you're a banker, if you the postman, whatever you do, the garbage, whatever you do, if you had to work straight 16-hour shifts mandatory, you would be up in arms. And regardless of what you think about law enforcement, that's bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, that part, I don't know any nice way to say it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like keeping it real.
This is a job where we're required to be alert. How alert can you be when you're that tired?
Absolutely. And Damon also often made a good point when he was still working. Like, a lot of some officers were making the comment that correction officers are not law enforcement. Like, cops, right? Y'all do your job to get the most dangerous people off the street, the people that you deem the most dangerous. This is what I got from as a citizen. You guys are in there the whole time with these people that are deemed too dangerous to be on the street. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's who you take. Once the cop arrests them, the cop's job is done with these people. Y'all have to deal with these same people over and over, day after day, that is supposed to be too dangerous or whatever to be on the street. And y'all have to deal with them. And that's just something that you, like, I mean, that's a perspective from being around Damon and interviewing and talking to a lot of correction officers and stuff. Like, I didn't see that side of things until we started doing this. You know what I'm saying? And again, I am speaking specifically from someone who has never been in law enforcement. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Who had a healthy disrespect for law enforcement, because I've been on the other side of a whole lot of stuff as far as law enforcement was concerned. So I ain't have no respect for law enforcement as a whole when I was younger. But when you hear that though, it's just like, you have to understand what y'all have to deal with. You understand what I'm saying? Day after day with these people that cops and citizens who call the cops feel these people are too dangerous to be in the streets, to be in society, and y'all have to deal with these people every day. And y'all don't get the respect. Y'all do it, unlike cops, without guns, without tasers, without all of that stuff that cops carry. And the odds that y'all are in there, Damon was saying 2 with 60. You saying 2, almost 1 with 120. Like, your real talk, like, if 120 people decide to charge you, I don't care how much of a badass and much taekwondo and all that shit you think you know, you are not fighting 60 people. You know what I'm saying? You're not fighting 60 people by yourself. You are not. Yep. You are not. At some point, you will be overtaken. No. You understand what I'm saying?
I started this job in '96 when the prison population was very high.
That's when James started in '96. That's right. Yeah, right.
As a rookie, I seen 300-something incarcerated individuals in the yard with 3 officers. One of my senior officers was attacked and carried out on a stretcher on one of those hot summer days. 300-something inmates with 3 officers. That's what we face daily in the prison.
Yeah,
You know, the
always
majority,
have
the majority of them, there's a lot of them that want to do their time and go home. But you have some that are never going home and they just don't care about nothing.
Exactly.
Society don't realize we have to deal with that person.
Exactly.
So Jack
No,
asks,
well,
so you work in 16-hour, 24-hour shifts, and you can't find anyone to come through the academy. What's the answer?
They have to. We want pay parity with the other counties that are hiring our guys away. That's number one. Number two, it has to be some type of incentive to take the job. They're force feeding these guys overtime, and they're not even going to get the benefit of enjoying that when they retire like I did. My tier, we were allowed to work overtime, and the overtime counted towards our retirement.
oh, that's right. It doesn't count to the pension.
No, these guys, because of Andrew Cuomo and pension reform, they don't get to enjoy that money. They're being force-fed all this overtime, and when they retire, they're basically going on their pay plus 10% of their overtime they worked. That's horrible.
Yeah. So, brother Dow Roberts, and I don't know, I'm not sure what time you came into the show. I spoke on Robert Brooks, and I don't condone all that. And what I saw on that video was a bunch of cowards. And if I was an officer there and I walked in there and I saw how that dude had his foot on his neck, I would have knocked his fucking ass out. Like straight music.
The officer.
Not Robert Brooks, the officer.
No, I just want to be clear before somebody.
Yeah, I would have knocked his ass out. Because that's not what you do, man. And not for somebody, he wasn't even 100 pounds, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, you know, we have to have some type of decorum and character ourselves. And that's in Brother Israel, your character and who you are, it's what helps you have control of the block.
That's right.
If they think that you're an honorable person and you treat everybody equally, helps you control the block.
Definitely does.
You know, because I used to tell the cats, you want me to treat you like an inmate or treat you like a man? It's all on you. I could do both good. I could do both good. I could treat you like an inmate or I could treat you like a man. I suggest you choose treating you like a man. You know, and I would tell them straight like that. And then other inmates will co-sign, yo, he's not the one. He's not, yo, bro, he's not the one. He's not the one. Oh,
exactly.
You talking all that shit because you got a body alarm. No, bro, I don't wear a body alarm. Because if we scrapping, bro.
Right. Listen,
you know,
when I used to walk on the tier, the incarcerated individuals that have been there for a little while, they let the new guy know, listen, leave him alone. Don't bother him. Because if you need something, he's going to be the one to make sure that you get it if you're supposed to have it.
What? Man, like, it's so much control that you do have over a person. And you want to treat you, and the goal is to treat them like a human being. Now, yeah, there's some officers that come on that run a block and they're really horrible how they treat people. Yeah. They are those that are like that. And but at the end of the day, they don't have great days.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They don't at the end of the day, there's always something going on their block. Right? You know, here we go. Right. We gotta go up. Right. We gotta go up here with this dude, right?
Right?
Right.
It's true.
There's always something. It's always something going on in their block.
Yeah.
It don't matter. Every day, the captain or sergeant's coming out. Yo, I need y'all three to go up to B block. Who's working B block? So and so. Oh, here we go with the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But that's who they. You know, that's how some people rock. That's right. You know, and then some people rock. They come to work. They just want to do their 8 hours. They want to treat everybody like human beings. Right? They want to give you what you're supposed to get legally, you know, and they want to keep it moving, you know, and then, you know, there's some asshole inmates too. Like, we are human beings. There's some that, you know, oh Lord, I got to deal with this dude. There's always going to be something, you know, but if you carry yourself a certain way and you act respectful and you got that history, even with those dudes, they become respectful.
Yeah, eventually they come around. Yeah,
eventually they come around. But first, they ain't got no choice. they don't have no choice.
That's right.
You know, either you're gonna act by my rules. I don't care what the officer did yesterday. I don't care what the officer did on the 311 shift. I don't care what that. I'm here today, and this is how this 8 hours is going to go, or this 16 hours if I got to stay. This is how it's going to go. You know, either if you don't accept it, I suggest you go in your cell or go in your bunk and read a book. Or now, you know, last time I was in the county, they was giving them little tablets to watch movies and stuff. Yeah, right? Yeah. You know, you're right. Go get your little tablet and go and go in your bunk for the rest of the day. Yeah. Because we're not going to be having all that. And it's you know, and that's the way you gotta run a block, man. You gotta run a block. But people don't understand that. You know, and then to do it day after day after day after day, sometimes 16 hours a day, sometimes even on your days off, you come in because you need a little extra paper, right? And day after day after day, it takes a toll, and nobody talks about the mental health toll, you know, on correction officers.
It's draining, and we have a low life expectancy because of all the stress.
Exactly. That's why I got the hell out at 55.
You and me both. That's why
our life expectancy is 58. It's 5'8" and 12. Right now, I've been out almost 2 years. I already beat one hurdle because they said what? No, I'm almost 18 months after retirement. Right. So I just beat that hurdle. Right. I just beat that hurdle. God bless. Now the next one is 58. I want to beat that hurdle.
Yep.
and people don't know. Like 18 months, your lifespan is 18 months after retirement, and nobody's talking about it.
That's right. And then the state of New York is the only one that benefits when you die that early. You know?
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I got out. Help get on my Pelotons and work out because I listen. I'm trying to stay alive, man, because my uncle passed away from diabetes, complication sickness, diabetes, exactly 18 months after he retired.
Wow. Yeah.
Because when I found out that statistic,
all these guys getting stuck every day. They can't even keep doctor's appointments.
Exactly.
How can you when they're taking your days off also? How can you keep a doctor's appointment?
Wow.
You know?
I wanted to go back to what Jack Toon said. He's like, what's the answer? And you were talking, and I was like, speaking from experience, living in a city like Mount Vernon, the lowest paid police department in the county.
Not no more. Not no more.
Well, they were for years, for a long time. And we had mass exodus because of that. We had they were going to all the other municipalities because of that.
And you still have mass.
I remember it.
My brother, Mayat, he said, I think we lost the concept of being fair, form, and consistent. You're correct. Give them what they got coming, and you'll be fine. No, and you're absolutely right, brother. But
most of us do that daily.
Exactly.
That's what we do for 8 or 16 hours a day. Fair, firm, and consistent. That's a fact. The only time it changes is when the incarcerated individual changes. We don't control that. We treat everybody fairly. I can honestly say in 26 years, I treated everybody fairly in there.
That's right.
I treated them the same exact way they treat me.
That's right.
I was gonna say, you can't, just like in the street, you can't get mad when somebody decides to match your energy. That's the energy you brought.
Exactly.
Just like in the street. Just seriously, it's just like in the street. Like I had an incident, somebody, you know, it was just verbal, but I matched. I'm like, yo, whatever you give me, I'm gonna match your energy. Now you can't. I can't be the bad guy because all I'm doing is matching your energy. You brought that energy to me. You understand what I'm saying? Like I'm matching.
That's why I said. That's why I said. You want me to treat you like a man, treat you like an inmate.
Exactly.
See, because I could flip and treat you like an inmate. It's and it's a totally different way than I would treat you like a man. Right. So that was that was the way I expressed myself to people when I'm like, yo, dude, like you're crossing that line, bro. Like I'm really trying to show you the Christ in me, even though I work in a place that's crazy. I'm really trying to show you the Christ light in me, but you don't want to accept that. And it's really unfortunate. Come on, y'all. Y'all know there was a lot. Well, hey, listen, man.
You know what? Let me just say that before you say that. Every job, right? That's what I'm saying.
Every job has people that shouldn't be there. Right. Even there's bad accountants, there's bad everybody.
That's
every
right.
Bad people in the post office.
Exactly.
You know how many stores or banks that I walked into with people working there with bad attitudes? When I get somebody that has a great attitude and they like their job, I thank them for that. Because not everybody is that way.
Right. But here's the problem with all that. Police, all that is the process of weeding out those bad apples that they fail the process, and even in corrections, there were those that made the academy, but even the academy instructors like, yo, I don't know about these 5 or these 10, right? And then they baby them, and then you create a monster. The same way in the police department, when you look at a cop that under questionable actions, and you look at his record, there were signs all the way to that point where it got real crazy, but there were signs that nobody paid attention to. The same way with corrections, the same way with police departments, and the same way in the military. It's the same. We gotta have a process to weed the ones that don't want to be there, and a lot of times there is processes, but people don't want to pay attention. There is process, but people don't want to pay attention because a lot of management in law enforcement, as long as nobody's dead, they ain't changing nothing. It's all who you hire. See, we vote for the politician. The politician appoints commissioners and all those people. And a lot of times they're political appointments and people don't even know what the hell they're doing. They know right? Yeah, right. Israel, they got a favor from this one that gave them $1 million, a favor from this one, and they put these people in. Westchester County, their first deputy commissioner, even though she's a lawyer, she was a damn GED teacher. Her first deputy commissioner for Westchester County. I remember her when she was teaching GED in the penitentiary. Now she's the first deputy commissioner.
Yeah, crazy.
This is what happens.
It does.
This is the type of people that they appoint. Because somebody that gave them money knows somebody that need a damn job.
Yeah, it happens. Yep.
There's a discipline. The process takes a long time due to due process. Yeah, and that's true too. And that's true too. But there's ways around that, brother. There's old school ways around it. We sometimes some people don't want to do it and some people don't. But until we get people in charge that are actually in their heart about corrections, about police, and we ain't playing this political monopoly with people's lives and putting people that shouldn't be there, it ain't never going to change. But it's up to us. Start voting people out. That's what I told the people in Mount Vernon. DOJ come in and say that your police department has been violating black people. And if the mayor's not going to change it, you vote her ass out. It's nothing personal. But the police commissioner works at the will of the mayor. And if he's not capable of doing the right thing, then either she replaces him or she goes with him. The power has to be back with the people. Don't wait till the summertime when they give out some free fried chicken and pizzas and burgers and shit.
That's right.
And your children being violated, your grandma being violated. and you turn your back for some goddamn cookouts and barbecues and shit and some slidey fucking houses and that bullshit. We got to get it right, man. We got to get it right because most of these jobs, especially corrections, is black and brown people. Black and brown people, historically in New York State. And we get treated like shit.
Dumped all over, man. We get forgotten about
sometimes.
Yeah, we get forgotten about.
I said even by other law enforcement.
Exactly. Motherfucker tell me I ain't on the job. I said I could do your job, you can't do mine.
That's right.
Fucking state trooper.
I hear you. Yeah.
You can't do my goddamn job. I could do your job. Driving up and down the fucking highway, I could do your job. You can't come into jail. Take your gun off.
No.
Some of these cops got it twisted. Man.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, man. They need to come in and do 2 weeks. But you know what? We made the recommendation and the county never followed through with it.
Yeah.
They never followed through with it.
No.
They never followed through with it.
Either that or during their curriculum in the academy, have some correction officers come and teach them how to de-escalate, how to speak to people.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes they use trigger words and they don't even realize they're doing it. You know.
It says can they get their GED, college degree, care about the retail? Yeah, man, they care about the rehabilitation of the inmate more than they care about the correction officer.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's the God honest truth. More they care about the correction officer.
That's right. And society only sees one side of the story. Like I said before, they don't see all the good that we do in there, you know? They don't hear those stories.
Exactly. Now I support rehabilitation. I support getting your DED. And if you upstate long enough, if you doing them 10, 15 years, hopefully come out with a damn college degree. Shit. You ain't got nothing but time, so you might as well be doing something for yourself. But at the end of the day, your safety and security is us. Your safety and security is us. Definitely. So you can go get your college degree, but if you ain't got correction officers making sure that you get from one place to another safely,
that's right,
you're gonna have a problem. Same way people in the street have a problem when they don't have enough cops.
Mm-hmm.
And they getting mugged, they getting robbed. Right? All that happens in the jail. You can get mugged and robbed in the jail.
Definitely.
Straight music. And raped.
Oh, yeah.
If you ain't got no correction officers around.
That's right.
Especially since all the muggers and robbers, that's why they in
there. That's right. Or if that same CO can't pay attention because he's tired.
Exactly. Listen, I asked somebody, they said, because we talking about solitary confinement or restrictive housing, right? And they said that's inhumane. So I said, okay, what do you do with the rapist or murderer when he commits a crime out in society? You arrest him and you put him in jail because he did what? He broke the laws of society, the laws, right?
That's right.
I said, the jail is a society. There's rules and regulations in the society of the jail. So what do you do with the person that creates crime in the jail? You just gonna keep them in the housing area, like keeping them in the city of the people, or are you gonna separate him because he's a danger to the actual population, the other inmate population? You have to separate him.
Right. can't behave around others, yeah, there should be an area for you. By the way, that was my job for the last 5 years before I retired. I was the special housing unit sergeant.
Really?
Yes. So I got to implement all those changes that came with Holt.
Man, by the time all that stuff come, I was so senior, man. I wasn't even working the block. I wasn't. I'm be honest. I wasn't. I wasn't working the block, but you know, I'm just happy they didn't have Doge when I was working, because he would have sent the email like that. I couldn't fill, because I wouldn't be able to fill out what I did for the day.
No. Imagine that.
Exactly. But people got to understand, man. Like a lot of people. Is it Damon de-escalate? You sure?
Yeah, he said that again.
Yeah, man. I was good at de-escalating because I had a history, you know. And even when you get older, thank God your history follows you, because I ain't feel like fighting them young boys, that's 18 and 19, 18, 19 years old, man.
Right.
Oh, wait. Oh, man. Hold on a second. We got to bring in my man. There he is.
What's good, my brother?
Brother Conrad.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, brother, I mean, whatever we could do, man, we're here.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is there anything we didn't ask you that you
figure
want?
That out. Let's see.
Is there anything we didn't ask you that you want to articulate about what's going on, about the situation? Is there anything we didn't ask you that people can do? Is there any work? I want to make sure you got everything out that you need to get out.
The most important thing, like I said earlier, was stay in contact with your politicians. When they pass the new legislation, everyone has to read these bills before they become law, because they were trying to expand the whole legislation prior to the strike, and I think the strike is pretty much ended the expansion of it. But there were bills pending where they wanted to expand it, add more stuff, to give more rights and privileges to the worst offenders. What are we doing? You know?
Right. Well,
I'm gonna be honest. Like I told Damon. So in the late '80s, I used to be a rapper. In the late '80s, early '90s, they had a program where they would bring in artists to the correctional facilities to perform. I guess it was, I don't know if that still goes on or not, but it was. So I was in the Brooklyn House of Detention, and I'm gonna tell you, after spending a couple of hours there, I'm glad there's jail. There were some people that I was like, yo, I was glad that there is a jail. Like, I'm gonna be honest. And someone was like, oh, we're a big fan of yours. I'm getting out. I want to know where they live, where they hang out, because I want to make sure I was not in those areas. Wow. Like, I'm gonna be honest, yo. I'm not saying everybody, but there were some individuals that are like, ooh, yeah, there are some individuals who should be incarcerated. That's all I'm saying. That they're and like I said, as an artist, we there, and we have protection, but we're amongst them. Like, we're not really separated. You know what I'm saying? We're around them, and I'm just like, they can talk to us and everything. And I'm like, yo, there was a few people. I was like, yo, thank God for jail. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yo, there's a speech with Martin Luther King saying the same thing, bro. He talking about how he visited the prisoners, and he's like, man, y'all. He said, man, y'all need to praise these correction officers. He's like, y'all need to praise. He said, man, I pray for them correction officers. He talked about the same thing. Talked about the same thing.
The Pope has come to the jail to see these guys, and they curse him out.
Really?
I'm like, yeah. I'm there. I'm standing next to him, and he's like, well, they're not here for being angels. I said, that's right.
Wow. That's crazy, brother. But yeah, man.
It was the Archbishop, not the Pope. The Archbishop.
Listen, man, stay in touch, brother.
I definitely will.
Once my foot get better, man, I'm gonna come out on the line with y'all, man.
All right.
Yeah, I want to come out there and tape it, man, and support your guys, man, and share, and share what y'all going through, man. So definitely we'll stay in touch. Whatever, anything new, if you want to come on and give us an update of what's going on, man, bruh. This is your show, man. All right.
Thank you so much. I'll definitely be in touch because I'll be honest with you, I don't anticipate that things are going to go really well
Wow.
when these guys go back to work. You know.
Okay. All right. Thank you, my
and
brother.
I'm not saying that from our side, but
Right.
everybody in there is upset.
Yeah. No,
It's
they
not
have a
gonna
right to
pretty.
be.
Yeah. No, they do. They do.
They have the right to be, man, and give everybody our support, man. Tell them Black Westchester, man, we support them, man. We support them.
Thanks so much. You guys have a good night.
All right, brother. Take care, man.
Bye.
All right, my brother. Did Brother Conrad work on his audio? What he was saying is he couldn't hear us.
Now I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but we can't see you because you turned your camera off.
But now now we can't see you, brother.
That is the problem. Could you do me a favor and email me the link, and I'll come in on my computer because I'm trying to do this on my phone.
Okay,
and I'm a bit confused.
Hold on a second, brother. We got to hold on. Let me.
I'm a bit confused because I'm doing it on my phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because that's where you sent the link.
Oh, yeah. My bad, brother.
That's okay.
Yeah, you get a better experience on your computer.
If you can send it to tillardconrad@gmail.com, I'll jump online.
All right.
And
ain't no dot between it, just Tillard Conrad, one word?
tillardconrad@gmail.com. That's right.
All right. I got it right here. Yep, you popped up, brother. You popped up.
So if you can do that, then
I just
in a few minutes we can get on.
Yeah. So everybody else tuning in.
Everybody just watching.
Oh yeah, I'm going to say the same thing. If you just tuning in for the first time, you are watching Black Westchester Presents, the People Before Politics radio show, where we give you real talk for the community since 2014. Black Westchester news with the Black point of view.
Absolutely.
Yeah, every Sunday, 6 to 8. Almost every Sunday, 6 to 8. We take a couple Sundays off.
Yeah, every Sunday.
Yeah. I was in the beginning. Everybody else was taking the Sundays off, and I was there for every show for the first 7 years. I've been taking my days off now. I've been taking some days. I ain't gonna lie. I've been taking some days off.
But while we come up, I want to just say, first of all, how much I enjoy the program, and I'm really glad to be with you. You all are doing a very, very important work in Westchester, and I just hope the people understand how important it is to have a program like this on in Westchester County. I mean, I just hope,
Well, man, we've been doing it for 10 years, brother. And did you get it?
I did. I'm trying to come in now.
Okay,
so
great.
It'll be a minute or so, but I will be there. And then
we've been doing it for 10 years, man. And we got our supporters, we got our haters, but we still make
we all do.
Exactly. We still
detractors.
And we got those that don't realize what's going on. They don't appreciate it. And it's kind of like one day they're going to look around and we're going to be gone. They're going to be like, oh, man, why we ain't got no Black Talk Radio no more? Why we ain't got – because y'all was supporting when it was here. Like, what the
Exactly.
You keep it
free. And, when you think about that, the fact of the matter is in this town, we built a movement off of talk radio and the support that we had in our air campaign. We had the ground campaign because you can't build a movement just on the air. We had the organizations, but we also had platforms like Imhotep Gary Bird and remember WWRL and even the more left-leaning stations, what's the name of it? It escapes me right now. Where Lambe Braff and all of these greats were on.
Right. Bob Law and all them.
And Bob Law was on RL as well. So
yeah,
you're right. We had a very strong coterie of programs we could come on, and the message of the African American community was carried all over the city by these platforms. And we don't have that today. We are missing that, and that is definitely hurting us. So Westchester should be, very happy that we do have that in your program. So I'm excited, and I'm glad to be here. So hopefully I'm on now. Hopefully we're all right.
Type of Negro. Okay, let's make it happen, man.
So are we all right?
No, you still.
No, you still.
Enter studio. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Now turn the other one off. Yeah.
So let me turn this one off.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Shout out to Gil Noble. That's another one somebody just said. Gil Noble.
Okay. Yeah, Gil Noble was very important. Bill McCrary.
All right, you got to take one up. Take one off.
Okay, let me take one off.
You got to close. You got to close one on the phone. You got to close your phone.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to turn your phone off, and then you got to get your camera on, brother. Make sure you turn your phone off, Conrad.
So Damon, this is my brother that they used to call a hip hop minister, right? This is this. Okay, no, because I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that's how I know him. That's how I know him.
Yeah. I'm trying to set up. I'm ready to set up. Damn, I can't even do it because I want to bring in. I want us to laugh about Eric's speech, man. Let me see if I can get this, man. Damn, I didn't build. Hold on a second.
You should be able to do that. Undo that. Take that out, and then bring in the next one.
Let me. I'll make this smaller.
No, actually, you have to delete that and then bring in shit. Bring the other one in.
No, I got it. I just gotta.
So somebody named Mike Jones was doing the rapper thing. Mike Jones, who? Mike Jones, who? Mike Jones, who? I guess that's his real name, Mike Jones. There was a rapper. That's all he did when he first came out. He was just like, Mike Jones, who?
Yeah.
Mike Jones, who? So that's what he's writing in the comment section. And it seems like that's his name, Mike Jones. So shout out to Mike Jones. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in. I got a lot of people said they was checking it out temporarily. They had to go run. They came in, tuned in, and tuned out. So.
Well, he ain't. Oh man, where you go?
We lost them all together for a minute. Yeah, we lost them all together. Yeah, why is this light going? It's blinking in and out. I don't know what's going on. Let me turn that light up.
So we waiting for our brother Conrad to come back in.
Yes. So yeah, we did an article a while back. The death of Black radio. The conversation we had with Bob Law when Gary Bird was going on off the air, his last shows, and we were discussing like the death of an era and the importance of what Black radio. Like a lot of times, we say that like a lot of us grew up with a lot of the rights that our parents and uncles and grandparents had to fight for. We always had these things, so we got a little spoiled. When they didn't have these things, Black radio was one of the major ways of getting things out, having the conversations that wasn't being had, that they couldn't have on regular radio, having those discussions, galvanizing the community, educating the community. And Let me tell you, we don't have all the channels and all the stations that we used to have, but when you do have one that's doing the work, y'all need to support it. Because like I said, what's that song? One day, and it might not be long, you're going to look around and we're going to be gone. Because I'll be honest, like, yo.
Well, I mean, but I took up the baton. It's all about, it's all about, shit. It's just all about us supporting. See, and and here's my problem, right? We're talking about boycotting and all that, but we ain't talking about supporting black businesses. We ain't talking about taking that money that we're gonna boycott or fast, or I don't care. Some people say, well, yeah, they're saying it, and I'm like, well, I don't hear it, and I'm in the media, right? And I don't hear it, so I don't know what timeline you got or algorithm you got, because I don't hear it, and here we are, a black newspaper, 10 years, and we can't even, and black businesses don't even want to take ads, even discounted ads. So for us to sit here, and be fighting for some DEI, something that we didn't even benefit from, and I think it's crazy that black folks that black folks are still running with a false narrative about DEI. And we did not benefit from that. So what are we doing this for? Who's in charge? And that's something I wanted to say, AJ. Like, we dealt with people, without naming names, right? We dealt with people and companies that push the narrative, right? Mm-hmm. And spent good money and spent good money for that narrative to be pushed. So when I asked the question, like, who made up these damn dates and who we supposed to boycott? Where did it come from? Mm-hmm. Because it's no originality to it, so who's pushing it? See, because AJ, me and you know firsthand that people can drop money to push a narrative.
Absolutely.
And especially for DEI, when we didn't benefit from DEI. We didn't benefit from it. White women benefit from it. So I don't even understand. Since Obama put that up there,
it wasn't that we didn't benefit. We weren't the majority. We wasn't the main person that benefited. There was a few benefits. There was it was no benefit, but it was white women who. That's why the whole thing with minority, when they say minority businesses, and as all this money goes to minority businesses, white women-owned businesses take up a lot of that money. The majority of that money doesn't go to black businesses, to Latino businesses. It goes to white women because white women are seen as a minority. And that's why we need, when you have terminology, we need these things that support black-owned businesses,
right?
Latino-owned businesses. You know what I'm saying? Like when you say minority, like I said, as long as they consider white women a minority. Like, I'm not even going to put somebody out there. I'm not going to say their name right now. I'll tell you off air. But somebody has a business, Damon, a white man, right? And they couldn't get what they wanted from the city. So from whatever they were trying to put together, and they were wanted me to do an article because his wife is part owner, that they were denying a minority-owned business. I'll tell you who this was afterwards.
I already know who it is.
Okay, so and it was just like, yo, and somebody just said that they use their wives for minority status. This is a white man who I mean, he's cool, but I'm saying the narrative of the articles that he wanted me to do was that because his wife was part owner, that they wouldn't give this contract to a minority. They were refusing to give a contract to a minority-owned business. And that's somebody local, but that's representative of the whole thing that's going on, and it's a real thing. And So the word minority-owned business and money for the minority businesses does not benefit Black businesses. But enough of that. I want to speak to my brother because he may not remember me, but I remember him when he was referred to as the hip hop minister when I was running with Whitney Day in the Rap Coalition, and he was breaking up all the beefs in hip hop that y'all were hearing about. There wasn't no rappers killing rappers because this brother right here was bringing people together and having meetings and squashing some of the beefs. So that's why there was a lot more rappers being killed.
Hey, listen, man. I used to run with him. I was a skinny, dark-skinned, little sexy one with the curly hair in the back. Staying quiet.
So that's how I know you, my brother, from back.
Oh,
from
yeah,
back
that was many moons ago. But yes, how well I remember. How is Wendy Day? Where is she now?
She's somewhere in the South.
Okay.
She was I think she's in the Atlanta area, and she's still doing a lot of the same work. But helping independent artists, get established and make money and get their situations without having to go to majors and stuff. She's still doing a lot of work with independent artists. She's dealing with a whole lot more money though.
Okay,
I mean,
that's good.
She had people looking for her for some of the stuff she was doing because I think she had Cash Money looking for her for a minute because she helped them get their deal.
Okay,
their major deal, and they didn't take care of her. And when they were speaking about it, she knew where their bodies was buried. Like they was coming for her. Like they was coming for her.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, she was doing a lot of work, and she helped me a lot. And we had a lot of conferences and stuff, and I used to see you a lot at the conferences.
Oh yeah. She was very dedicated.
Situations, like I said, where rappers had beef, like the beefs you see now that end up in violence, you were bringing both posses together or both crews together, and you was, you know what I'm saying, causing some kind of truce or squashing it or whatever, and a lot of the beefs did not escalate. It wasn't that, and see, people go, oh, we didn't have those kind of beefs back in the days. We didn't have rap. You don't know. We had those, but we have brothers like this brother here squashing those beefs and bringing those people to the table. And I'm not sure if everybody was positive. Everything was positive and everything worked out. But I know a lot of people, stopped a lot of people from some ass whoopings and some being killed. That's all I'm going to say. And
I would say that, you're right. I mean, and basically what is missing today is number one, I wouldn't say you don't have the community-based organizations, because that's what we were. Mach Number 7 was a community-based organization. We had brothers like Brother Elijah, Brother Arthur. These brothers were very involved in hip-hop, and many others. Brother Damon knew all these people, and I didn't know all of these rappers. I didn't know all the details, but I had good people around me who did. Brother Allen out there in Westchester, he did great work. But here's the other thing. The rappers were more local back then. And I think what has happened is hip hop has been disconnected from the community. You're not going to get Puffy and Russell Simmons and Andre Harrell to come up to Harlem today. They're not in the community.
Right.
Meaning, and not them particularly, because you know where they are. But the point I'm making is, in those days, hip hop and rappers were largely still very community based. So all the problems were in the community. They lived in the community, and they had a vested interest in solving the problems because they lived in the community. But today, a beef with a guy living in Toronto or in Beverly Hills. I mean, come on. I mean, there's no, where's the community aspect of that? So that's where we are. So.
Right.
And I also want to give a shout. I want to give a shout to Zulu Nation because they were very instrumental as well in squashing a lot of those beefs.
We were partners.
Right.
We always worked together, and that's how we were able to do that. And so,
so that's why I wanted to just give them their props too.
I teach at City College, and I teach in the Black Studies department. I teach the hip hop class, and I always remind my students that between the Nation of Islam, 5% Nation of Gods and Earths, and the Zulu Nation, those are the three core cultural community organizations that really gave birth to hip hop. So, absolutely, we have to give a shout out to those organizations.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Those were the days, brother. Like,
those were the days,
brother. Man, if we could have kept that together, New York would have been on fire, son. It would have been on fire, man. But everything has its time.
Everything has its time, right? And look at where we are today.
We don't have a lot of brothers like you out there.
Well, but I mean, look at where we are.
That care enough to get involved. Like, seriously, like,
Well, I think what's happened today is, I won't say that there aren't brothers.
I said not enough.
Because I believe there are some, but here's the problem, and we're having the same problem politically in New York. Really, these are far better days than those days. Let's think about those days.
Much more money.
We had to deal with Rudolph Giuliani as mayor, and before him, Ed Koch, and we had David Dinkins for short 4 years. But look at where we are. We got Hakeem Jeffries, a young man who's the nephew of Dr. Leonard Jeffries, and he was in college then, but he was conscious and he was involved. Now he's he's the highest ranking Democrat. He's the highest ranking Democrat in Washington. Then you got Eric Adams as the mayor. And Eric in those days was, Sergeant Eric Adams, and he was involved in every movement, every protest, every struggle. He's the mayor of New York City. You got Tish James. You got this one, Jumaane Williams. I mean, these guys, Jumaane and Hakeem are younger than us. And but I think what's happening is some of these people don't have an appreciation. We got the Speaker of the House, of the Assembly in Albany, the Speaker of the Senate, both black, okay? And we got all this black political power, much more than we ever had before. But unfortunately, we don't have a black agenda. And these people are either beholden to, some of the black elected officials are beholden and afraid of the left wingers, the DSA, the Democratic Socialists, the young New Kings Democrats, and all these young whites who moved down to the city from Scarsdale and Bronxville and all these different places and have tattoos. And now they call themselves living in Bed-Stuy and Williamsburg. And they really think they're doing something, but they're taking over the politics of these communities because 30% whites that are well organized in a community like Bed-Stuy, Ocean Hill, and Brownsville, they can actually control the politics of the community because our people are apathetic. They don't vote. They don't participate. And of course, all of these different agendas. And so I feel like these are the best of times, but they're also the worst of times. When I hear black leaders calling for Eric Adams to step down, that really shows me that we've acquired this political power, but it's not being put to use for the African-American community, and other people are obviously pulling the strings, and these black elected officials are doing the bidding of other groups. Again, sometimes it's the far left, sometimes it's the National Democratic Party, who I'm convinced they are stuck on stupid. They lost the national election because they found the most marginal issues that affect the least amount of people, but it's a big issue with people who live in Cambridge and Boston and Westchester and the Upper West Side and Greenwich Village and Soho and Brooklyn now, which is the so-called hip capital of America. But they lost the country, and so now they're angry at Trump. And because Trump had the unmitigated gall to say to Eric Adams, I think you got a raw deal. I got one, and I think you got one too. Now they're angry at Eric. I mean, Eric was facing 45 years in jail for nothing. I mean, we haven't seen any smoking gun. He's not Menendez that had gold bars in his refrigerator. I mean, he's not the brother in D.C. that they had the pictures of him taking envelopes of cash. I mean, what is it? I mean, what are they saying that he did? At the end of the day, where's the beef? I mean,
he got an upgraded ticket.
6 to 10 years before he became mayor. I mean, first of all, uh, conventional wisdom was that Eric Adams didn't have a snowball's chance in hell in becoming mayor. So
Right.
nobody would have invested in him 6 to 10 years earlier looking for a quid pro quo. Also, there was a recent Supreme Court case, and that's what people need to understand. This stupidity. You know, black people have what the right calls, they call it for the white left too, Trump derangement syndrome. Okay.
Syndrome.
Yeah, and I'm convinced that that's real because people who don't like Trump, they have a visceral, irrational disgust and hate for Trump. And that's the only way you can get black people in New York looking at all of this political power, holding on to the city hall. Eric appointed the first black woman to be commissioner of the largest police force in the United States. He did that. First black woman deputy mayor. And the list goes on and on. Minority and women's MBWA, that brother, Michael Garner is a brother. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on of black empowerment. And the only thing that could be calling for black people, making black people call for Eric to step down, he needs to go, is an irrational hatred of Trump, but also they are doing the bidding of the National Democratic Party, which I'm sure don't care anything about black empowerment. If you notice, the Democrats, when they lose the national elections, they just want black people to stay angry and irrational for 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, but just keep them mad until we get back in office. And so no black leaders have the sense, and Eric is the only one to say, hey, this is the president. For 4 years, this guy's going to be the president. That's what George Latimer's doing. Nobody is cursing him out for doing that. That's what most elected officials are doing. Most of the people who Gavin Newsom sat down with Trump out in California when he came out there to talk to him about the fires. I mean, he's the president. That's just a fact on the ground. So whether you like him, whether you can't stand him or whatever, these are irrelevant concerns right now. The man is president. And so the mayor of New York City has to deal with the president. But to say that he's in the back...
Just like that Republican governor had to deal with Obama when they had in Jersey. What's the big dude?
Christie.
Christie. And they got mad at him saying
and they got mad at him because he hugged Obama on the tarmac.
But he did
what he had to do.
He did what he did for his state though, and they were desperate need.
Absolutely. And that's his job.
It should
and
be
that's his job. And that's his job as a president. And President Trump just came in a big way for middle-class New Yorkers, working-class New Yorkers. He stopped, and his DOT looks like it's going to stop this damn congestion pricing. That's delivering in a big way. And the Governor Murphy of New Jersey, a Democrat, what did he do? He sent a thank you letter to President Trump. Why? Because, hey, man, you help my people. My people pay $18 to come into the city. They already tax our incomes. We have business owners who live in New Jersey, and now we're going to pay $18 and another $9 every single day. No, and so the governor understandably thought that was an outrage. He took MTA to court, and he was not caught up in Trump derangement syndrome. He may disagree with Trump on 99% of the policies, but on that policy where there was common ground, he understood, hey, Mr. President, thank you, okay? And that's the level of maturity that black politicians have to have. But it's hard because black people are so irrational. That's why programs like this are so important, because we got to educate our people politically.
That's right.
That politics is not about how you feel. It's not about how you, I got off on you in Congress. Yeah, did you hear my speech?
Black people didn't have no problem with what's his name, McCain, when he was the no vote that helped
absolutely.
Nobody, black people had no problem.
He divided his party, right? Yeah. But we've got this very stunted development when it comes to politics. It's very stunted. We're emotional. We that politics confused with religion. I believe in him. No, you don't believe in any politician. You do transactional business with them. I hate them.
Exactly.
No, you don't hate anybody in politics. There's no permanent friends, no permanent
And no
enemies, because you
permanent
might have
enemy.
to work together on this or that. It's just a transactional, it's our system of exchanging goods and services. It's not religion. It's nothing to believe in. It's just something to study carefully with a clear mind and make good deals. That's all it is.
That's it. That's
That's all it is.
That's it. That's it. But I mean,
but yeah, go ahead.
Brother, and me and AJ talked about it. In my articles, I try to say, if Trump, his tax cuts, how can Black America benefit? Because we don't have that conversation. Right. Because it's always, oh, this and that. I'm like, no, you could benefit. This is politics. You have to figure out, how do you benefit from what he's doing? Because there's a lot of people are going to benefit from it, but when we are not talking about it, like I was telling a friend of mine, which I wish I knew about it, that he had that Bitcoin, that coin that he sold for $6 when he was running, and it went up to $400 when he won. He just that little knowledge, people became millionaires, and see, because they wasn't hating on him.
Yeah, see, and it starts with what you just said. Like it starts with even being free enough, coming off the Democratic plantation, looking back and making sure just don't have to worry about what Massa thinks, and just for a second to say, how are this man's policies of benefit to me, or how can we make them of benefit, or how can we seek benefit? But to even ask the question, the emotionalism say, oh, well, he loves Trump. I don't love Trump. I just got rich off of him, his policies. That's what your friend. That's just what happened. And so if we can really continue, and I'm making light and making a little fun and mockery, because I really want Black people to see how ridiculous, how absurd, how farcical it is for us to be 96% in one party, or 95%, whatever the cumulative number was. Black men, and especially in some of the swing states, we got off the plantation. Black women are still, they still haven't figured out that it's not actually a good thing to have all of your votes in one basket. Maybe they need to go to Vegas or once or twice, to Atlantic City, take all of their money and put it on one bet. And when they lose, then they'll begin to understand why you have to spread it around. Okay.
Spread it around.
They put 96% of their vote in the Democratic Party, and they said they saved democracy. But when Biden left office, he saved Liz Cheney, but he didn't save Tish James with a preemptive pardon. He didn't save Fani Willis with a preemptive pardon. Black women say they saved democracy, but Joe Biden and the Democrats definitely did not save them when they needed it.
That's right.
You know what's funny? So I'm watching the Knicks game, and I wanted to make this point, because sometimes you got to talk in sports metaphors. We want to give Black people attention. So every year they change the rules on what's a foul and what's not a foul or whatever, and then like what you was able to do last year, you can't do this year. So we all that watch the game, we all go, well, these basketball players that are getting all their money, they need to adjust to whatever the new rules are now.
Absolutely.
Like, instead of complaining all the time, we expect them, and this is and I'm talking all the Black people that watch basketball, we expect them to make the adjustment to whatever the new rules are now, and stop complaining about what it used to be. But that's exactly what we do with politics.
Right.
We don't adjust to, like, I saw somebody who was like, we were talking about somebody's boss being fired. He said he was in the military all his life. You always get a new commanding officer.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And then however that commanding officer decide to command things,
Absolutely.
you have to make the adjustment and stuff. So they were just talking about, like the commissioner that he worked for all this time being fired. He's like, I've been used to that all my life. You know what I'm saying? He's had to make that adjustment.
Absolutely.
We don't know how to pivot and to make the adjustment in politics.
And part of that, yes, and part of that is the fault of the Black political establishment.
Absolutely.
Instead of really educating Black people to the political system, I guess in the beginning, maybe in the 1960s, when Stokely Carmichael and John Lewis and Cleve Sellers were in the Deep South, and you were dealing with largely folks who were illiterate and unlettered, and they didn't have a real grasp of the system. I guess it was easier to talk in basic stark terms that they could understand. Jesus taught in metaphors for the agrarian people that he taught. He taught parables about sheep and goat, but it really wasn't about sheep and goat, but he had to access them somehow. They had no knowledge of the mysteries and eschatology and all of the higher theological concepts. And so in those days, racism, if you don't do this, they're going to put y'all back in chains, as Joe Biden said. But in 2025, that's not the way we should be talking to our people about politics. I mean, we are an intelligent people. We can be taught that, the importance of local elections, the importance of splitting your vote. We can show them groups like how, we can go through the results of the election and show. Now, see, all of you voted 96% for the Democrats, but look at what women did. They split their vote, 60-40. Look at what Latinos did. They split 45 here, 55 there. Look what Jews did, 65% here, 30%. Now, ask yourself, why are all those other groups splitting their vote, and we are the ones doubling down on stupid? And I hate to break it to you, it has nothing to do with your loyalty, has nothing to do with fighting any struggle, has nothing to do with fighting against the KKK or Project 2025. It has to do with intellectual retardation, a sort of stunted political understanding. Is sort of doubling down on feelings rather than thinking. We saw a great fight last night, and I was rooting for Lamont Roach because I grew up with his uncles and his family. The Roach boys were some bad dudes, and so I knew, when roaches come to fight, they fight, and but it was a very, Lamont was very cautious throughout that fight because of Tank's ability and how he can, knock you out. And so he fought a perfect technical fight. He walked him down. He stayed in front of him. He was most aggressive, but he was tight. And my point is, and I'm saying all that to say, is that you have to be technical. You have to be a tactician. Everything we do politically has to have meaning. And yes, I understand why in Mount Vernon, 90% of Black people are going to be Democrats. I get that.
He want to set me afire, man.
Well, no, but I understand why in New York City it makes more sense for us to be Democrats. But nationally, we have to have a different kind of formation. I've been pushing a concept called the 70-30 plan, where 70% of Blacks nationally stay in the Democratic Party, okay? Because in the Democratic Party, since Reverend Jackson ran in '84, we've made tremendous progress. And Black people don't understand. It's only since that '84 campaign when Jesse said, I may not make it over, or if I make it over the line, I'll be bringing wagons with tax assessors, governors, and state assembly people. But he also said in that campaign, the Democratic Party is the best place for us to build. But we had to build in that party. I remember him fighting against double primaries. I remember him fighting against Bo Weevil, conservative Democrats. I
Mm-hmm.
remember him fighting against winner-take-all primaries. It was a fight to get to where we are in the Democratic Party. They didn't just welcome us. They didn't just welcome us. And if we did that in the Democratic Party, we can also do that in the Republican Party. I think about 30% of blacks, we need to keep it nationally 70-30. 70-30. So in states like, for example, in Brooklyn, it doesn't make sense to be a Republican. But in South Carolina, a state controlled by Republicans, blacks should up their numbers in the party. Or Georgia, up your numbers in the party.
That's my parents, when I was 7, moved to Central Islip, Long Island.
Yeah.
And they had it was all black.
Nassau County, that's right.
Suffolk County. And it was all black, this district. But so my mother was head of the neighborhood association. Right. And they told everybody, because the Republicans were running things, that for them to make any real change, they all had to register as Republicans. So they could vote. So this is in the 70s. So they were all registered. They were Democrats, but they were registered Republicans so that they could vote in those primaries. Yes. And they could get people in that kind of had their interests at heart and keep people out that didn't.
Yes. And it's the same. It was the same in Nassau County. You had Big Jim Garner was the mayor, big brother that wore a cowboy hat. And a lot of those city jobs that black people had in Hempstead and Roosevelt, it's because they were active in the Republican Party. In politics, again, it's tactical. It's not getting emotional. It's like, I got to wait for opening, and wherever the opening is, I have to take it. And so that kind of strategy, that kind of strategic movement is what we have to be able to do with our votes, rather than just all get we just mad and we get on election day we're gonna stop Trump, and I mean it's ridiculous, and it doesn't matter. It's not Trump. We do this to every Republican. Whether it's Mitt Romney, with Mitt Romney, it was he only cares about the 1%. With George Bush, he doesn't care about us. With Ronald Reagan, he's 3'6". I remember older people saying, that Ronald Wilson Reagan, that's 666. That's the devil. All of this metaphysical,
I remember all that, the 666
sorcery and voodoo and all of these things, trying to analyze a political system that requires very sober, tactical, technical minds, so that we can get everything out of the system that is designed to give. I will say this, our Jewish friends, they...
where you go?
I want to be, while we waiting for him to come back in, everybody, if they remember the first Republican primary that Trump was a part of, what did he say when they were saying something? He said, I put money in all of your pockets on both sides. Yep. Like he was already he was putting money in the Democrats, and if they won, then you know what I'm saying, he had it in, and he put money with the Republicans. And you do diversify. Same thing with the stock market. The first thing they tell you is to diversify your stocks.
That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying for the longest. I'm like, you can't get the amount of respect from a two-party system if you're only in one party. I'm just going to keep on saying it. I'm just going to keep on saying it.
Joe Pinion, one of his things was when they were saying that when he ran, they said they would have voted for him if he was a Democrat. He said, we need people like me in the Republican Party. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like a lot of people weren't feeling him on that. You know what I'm saying? Or why he was remain Republican and they couldn't vote for him. I was at those candidate forums, and many of the people that were the Democrats of Yonkers, they were all saying, if he was a Democrat, I'd vote for him. So they were liking everything he said over the Democratic candidate, but they couldn't vote for him because he was Republican.
I think New York is going to go red. I really think.
Well, New York, let's not forget that. I keep saying, let's not forget. Let's see. People don't remember history. We're not that long ago. We had Republican governors, and here in Westchester County, to be even more specific, Black Westchester has been around 10 years. When we started 10 years ago, there was a Republican county exec. We're not even talking about decades ago. We're talking about in the last 7-8 years, there was a Republican. So let's not forget, let's not act like it can't happen.
Right. No, and the only reason Astorino lost is because he screwed everybody that helped him.
Right.
That's the only reason Lattimore won, because he screwed the Independence Party, he screwed the Conservative Party. He wasn't going to get the working family. So the payback was they all supported Lattimore. You know, and if he wouldn't have tried to take over the Independence Party, he would have still been county exec. And that's the sad thing about it, man. Like, Westchester County is a Republican county. I don't care what people say. They just use the Democratic Party because it's just and the Republicans, I don't know, like, they just scared to talk to black people. I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, talk to black people.
Well, I think part of what happens is that's why I'm advocating that we bum rush the Republican Party, at least 30%. No, really, because I mean, like, again, if you haven't been around long enough, that's what we did with the Democrats. People forget George Wallace was a Democrat. Okay, people forget George Wallace was a Democrat. The Dixiecrats were Democrats. Lyndon Johnson was a racist. It didn't matter.
Exactly.
When he was convicted to pass civil rights legislation through the civil rights movement and the insistence of the civil rights movement. He didn't just change. He knew he had to do it, and he did more than Kennedy. But the point was, we had to bump the Democrat Party. This is what blacks have to understand. Stop this ignorance. You don't have to be a Democrat. You weren't born with a Democratic DNA, but we became Democrats. We've made great progress in that party to an extent, but we have to do the same in both parties. Let me tell you something. The Jewish community in Westchester County, same as New York City. You got some who are liberal, okay? You got some who are conservative. But guess what? No matter who wins, they can go and sit and talk to those folks about their issues. That's where we want to be as black people. We're not mad at anybody. We're not disrespecting any we might run hard against you. You know, most of us are Democrats, but when you win, we're going to salute you. Okay, now you're our president. This is what we want to do. But in order to do that, we got to have some blacks over there. You know, when you hear big mouths like Roland Martin and these people who love to intimidate, you know, these are the enforcers. You know, anybody that they just want to intimidate people. And so any black that dares venture over there to talk to the Republicans, you're Uncle Tom, you're a coon, you're this and that, Jamal Bryant and all these people. And Jamal Bryant, he needs to figure out how he can stay in Baltimore, because last tape I saw, that brother told him to get out of the damn neighborhood, and he didn't even protest. The brother was shocked that he was willing to leave so easily. He said, "It's that easy?" And he just walked down the street. But
I saw that video.
Yeah, you call young black people at the White House coons. Well, then you're a coon when you're there under the Democrats. They're not doing anything differently than what you do when the Democrats are in power. Okay, that's why there's a group out of Chicago, serious group of black people. Painted
Chicago Red.
Chicago Red. And these are serious black people. And they are sick and tired of the Democrats, how now that mayor went broke. He broke the city on immigrants. And they have been standing up to him and the Democratic Party. And the truth is, the only reason Eric Adams got indicted is because Eric, like every other Democrat, first day he went down there to welcome those migrants and said New York doesn't treat its migrants like Texas does. But the smartest politician in the last 5 years is that little governor in that wheelchair down in Texas. That guy is a genius. He sent those people up to Martha's Vineyard where all these liberals are, and sent them all. He said, "Okay, you want you and guess what? Within a year, Eric saw his city going broke, and that's when he began to say to the federal government, "Look, man, you have to fix the border problem. Cities can't handle this.
That's right.
And that's when they told him, "Be a good Democrat. It's like this is a gallstone. It'll hurt, but it'll pass." And then he went down there to meet with the president. And next thing you know, they were raiding some of his people here in New York. He had to fly back. That was intentional. That was
Yeah.
political. That was a political hit on him for standing up. So I'm just saying, I hope people will not be insulted because I'm just trying to make light of it. We just got to be a little bit more, it's pugilism. Fighting is like, you remember how girls used to fight growing up? They drop that head and just start swinging.
That's what we're doing, brother.
Yeah, that's what we're doing politically.
But
we're
what's
not
crazy?
Involved in pugilism. There's no science to it. The sweet science is just gone.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and a lot of times people don't know the history of a person. They just see him, oh, you just out there, you doing this, you doing that, but they don't know the history of doing it. And I'm like, and I said, you know what? I'm starting to think for 33 years I've been lied to. You know what I'm saying? Because you out here fighting this fight, but then you think about it. All right, we jumping on this, we jumping on that issue, but we're not moving forward because we're not fighting the right issue, for our people in the whole. And we haven't been talking about economic development, doing for ourselves, all the things the messenger was talking about, all the things Amos Wilson, Dr. Claude Anderson, all our pioneers,
right,
in doing for self. We haven't been discussing that, and now we're never even discussing it. Because like I was saying earlier, I don't know who made this boycott list. Who made the list? Like, people are just sharing it. Like, who made the list? Because there's a lot of times there's big money behind something like that.
You're absolutely right. But you have to have been around long enough to know that these boycotts, anytime a preacher calls a boycott, and there has been no series of, what's that? And there's been no long series of meetings with a large number of people, then to look suspicious and askance at that. This thing about Joy Reid. How many times are we going to have a black host that loses their show before all of us get together and say, we need some black networks like you're doing, like I'm trying to do? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I remember when they had that conversation with the black leadership in 2010, Tavis Smiley, and the minister was there, Minister Farrakhan. And he reminded us that in the 40s, when we were going to march on Washington, the issue was jobs and justice.
Exactly.
In 1963, when we marched, the issue was jobs and justice. Every commemorative march since then has been jobs and justice. And so it's very simple. Booker T. Washington, cast your buckets down where you are. Amos Wilson, all these people. Thomas Sowell. Most black people have never heard the name. Thomas Sowell, Walter Williams. These are important people. They're not Uncle Toms. They're people we may not agree with them on everything, but what they understand about economics is this. There are no easy solutions in economics. There are no solutions. There are trade-offs. And the fact of the matter is, the government, even if it wanted to, cannot solve the problems of African Americans. We've got to do like every other group and simply build small businesses, build institutions, stick with it, keep the money in our community, and that's how we will grow. That's how we'll leverage.
That's right.
We'll have some small political victories, and like Eric is doing, you empower people, but we cannot rely on the government as an employment agency, because that's just not going to ultimately bear fruit. And we got strong on those good government jobs, but we should have been building institutions and
That's right.
buying land and doing other
That's
things
right. That's right.
with that. Yeah.
It's funny because that's the biggest way to end the movement is give them government jobs. There was a scene like a brother went out in the street and he saw one of the brothers in the struggle. He's
I'm
like,
gonna
yo,
get you
what happened to all the brothers in the struggle? He said they all got government jobs.
Yeah. Oh
Now
yeah.
now they can't criticize the government. Now they don't want to damage. They got to take some pension and some benefits, and they don't want to ruin all of that now. So now you silence them.
And I'm at a point, AJ, where I'm like, it's not even about criticizing people, because at the end of the day, we've been one of the things we've become very adept at is criticizing the government, okay? But what we have not become very good at is building institutions. And
That's right.
at the end of the day, some of the most eloquent people in the world have talked about racism and discrimination. We are not going to out-articulate some of the people who have already come before us. They said everything that could be said, but things change. Keep in mind that Thomas Sowell is a Manhattan Institute, and he thinks a certain way, so he may have someone to answer to. Well, see, that's what I'm talking about. Can you guys see me?
Oh, no, you just turned your thing off, bro.
We can hear you, but you turned your camera off.
Now we can't hear you or see you, brother.
While we're waiting for my brother, for those who are tuned in, you're watching an extended overtime session of Black
Exactly.
the People Before Politics radio show.
Exactly.
We have great conversations. Sometimes we go into the, like Bill Maher, he has his overtime. After his regular show, there's overtime. We in our overtime right now. Like we in overtime.
Yeah, I'm going to chop all this up and just put them on different ones.
You know, it's a lot of things that he said, and I didn't want to interrupt him. We have to diversify. We have to build. Like, one of the most important things, and I've had this conversation with a lot of key Democrats, local and bigger, they benefit. A lot of our Black politicians benefit on our voters being misinformed and uninformed. And as long as you keep them that way, then, you know what I'm saying? They it is that kind of like, we got to vote. We got to stay. We got to vote for the Democrat. We got to vote for that Black woman so she could be first. We got to vote for that man so he could be the first Black man or whatever. But it's like one of the things that we got criticized for going 10 years ago, they said we wouldn't be here 6 months or a year. We started educating the people. We started, bringing the candidates on and asking them questions that they wasn't getting nowhere else, so that our viewers and those who was following us could make more informed decisions at the ballot box. We've exposed a few people who talked a good game but wasn't about it. You know what I'm saying? And we got fooled. We helped a few people get in, and wasn't what they said they was, and we helped their ass get right back out. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
But
Richard Thomas, we kicked his ass right the fuck out. Where you go, man? Damn, come back.
No, the device is not connected now. But so we have to, and when you have institutions, again, this is not about Black Westchester. This is not about me, telling people to advertise and stuff. But when you have an institution that's holding you down, you support it. We, for good or for bad, we had our first Black congressman, and he was speaking about a lot of Black issues that were not being discussed before. And they tried to make it sound like, oh, he only cares about Black issues. And AIPAC and other groups spent record number of money to get his ass out. More money than has been in any congressional race in the history of the Congress, of congressional races. That's not just because he was a bad dude or whatever. He was a threat. And see, we fell for the banana in the tailpipe because I actually did some phone banking for him, and some of his diehard voters, supporters were saying, "Oh well, he disrespected. He didn't agree with my president. I can't vote with him now. He went against my president." And it's like, yo, you had a man who was fighting for issues that were was he perfect? No, nobody is. Did he fumble the ball on the 5-yard line a few times? Yes, absolutely. But he was fighting for issues. I'm talking about Jamal Bowman right now. He was fighting for issues that were not being fought about, and was bringing up conversations that were not being discussed, and was fighting for marginal groups that were not being fought for. And they spent a lot of money to get him the hell out real quick. And I say that about we don't support our own. When we have somebody who's doing the work, we don't support them. And then when they're not there no more, and someone that doesn't look like us is there, then we're like, oh, we need somebody, a person of color. We need somebody.
Yeah.
You had that when you had that.
Right. You had it, and it amazed me that Lattimore had the mitigated goal to stand there on TV. I think it was on news. It was the News 12 debate, to point at a black man and say, "You just look out for black and brown people." And these pastors stood silent. Organizations throughout Westchester in the district didn't say anything, and they just disappeared. And I said, "Wow, we always say we want an elected official, whether we agree with his politics or not." One thing Jamal did was give organizations that never got funded before, he funded them. He brought a lot of money to the district. But he purposely put a lot of money in black communities on purpose.
Marginalized communities that were not getting the money before.
But black people didn't show out. They didn't even show out. And I said, wow, man, like we don't know what we want as black people.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. I would just say this. First of all, I told you to leave Ernie Davis alone. I told you he was the greatest mayor in the history of Mount Vernon. But you would never have had to get rid of Richard Thomas had you not put him in. That's the first thing.
Yo, Conrad get me every time we talk about that, man.
I wasn't in on that conversation. You didn't tell me, so
no. Say like take a guy like Jamal Bowman. Like he's brilliant. He's a lot of things. But see, what's happening with our politicians is that being a black politician is no longer good enough for our black politicians. Since Obama got elected in 2008, every black politician thinks in terms of coalitions, thinks in terms of appealing to a broad base. And what most of them find, like the Squad, and they find camaraderie with the white radical left, okay? And then others find camaraderie with this money or that money. Richie Torres got his handlers, but it's never an authentic black politic as we used to have it.
Exactly.
And until we get back to that, see, there are a lot of things that Jamal Bowman could have been addressing in terms of African-American issues. He got caught up in some other things. And so my point is, as black people, we got to go back to the basics. We got to go back. David Greaves did a great film on Gary, Indiana, 1972, the Black Political Convention. It's a very important film. In 1972, we only had about 400 black elected officials. After the Gary Convention, shortly after that was 4,000, and then it's just been magnifying exponentially. So we've got to have, number one, more than black politicians, we have to have a black politic, a black agenda.
Right. Exactly.
That's what's more important, because if we don't, we'll have what we have now in New York. Hakeem Jeffries, Eric Adams do not get along like they should, okay? They should be sitting together, strategizing on behalf of black people in this region, okay? That should be mandatory, okay? But this one's over here, this one's over here, and this is what we've got to stop. We've got to come together and put an agenda forth. And someone mentioned Thomas Sowell is a part of the Manhattan Institute. That's the other thing we do. Everything is conspiratorial. It's okay, yes, he's a conservative black, so he's not going to be with a liberal think tank, okay?
Right,
So
right, exactly.
it's not sinister to know that you have some blacks who are conservative. You just have to understand the perspective they come from, okay? And at the end of the day, work together, regardless to your perspective, to push us forward. We can do it. Other groups have differences. You know, there's not one group that's monolithic. People have differences, but they also know how to come together for what's important.
Right. I fell in love with Thomas Sowell when the interviewer asked him because he started as a Marxist.
Yeah, he was a Marxist. That's right.
And the interviewer said, "Well, what changed your mind?" He said, "The facts."
Absolutely.
he said the facts. What made me leave that was the facts.
Right.
You know, and that's what we don't, as black people. I explained to my friend, I said, look, I said, we are all emotional. I said, we need to start thinking like Spock, right? Mm-hmm. What was Spock? He ain't have no feelings. It was just what was logical and what was not logical. We black people need to think like that. Like, well, look, this is how we need to act. Get out your feelings sometime because they play on your feelings. A girl calling me damn near in tears, right, telling me Trump is going to take Medicaid and Medicare, and she's damn near in tears, right, worrying about her mother. And AJ, and that's why I wrote that article. The bill is not going to do that, right? Like, and they got people going crazy.
Well, that's the politics of fear. That again, that's what the Democrats do. It's about fear, and again, when you're fearful, that means you're emotional. So you're not thinking straight. And so, you know, yeah, I mean, that's the problem that we really have. And it's so deep and embedded in our community that we have to really, really have a reorientation of our thinking when it comes to politics. There's plenty of things in life to feel for. I feel passionately about my faith. I feel passionately about my family. I love my children. There's plenty of things to have those kind of visceral emotions about. Politics doesn't have to be one. I don't trust most politicians as far as I can throw them. I mean, most of them are okay, but let's face it, once you become elected as an elected official, you may have been an activist, but now you're a politician and you got all these different forces against you. And so we don't want to say we believe in them. We want to say we think they're pretty good, but we need to watch, trust, and verify.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, and I don't know, man, because, you know, after a while, what are black people going to do? Because when you have these discussions and then they point out, look at the conditions of black communities that are run by Democrats.
Right.
You know, you can't argue that.
That's a strong argument. That when you look at all these major cities, that's a strong argument.
I actually wrote an article and I did a lot of research, and it says some of our biggest cities have been destroyed by Democrats. Again, since everything is local, Mount Vernon is a mostly black-run city. Mm-hmm. We have a black mayor, a mostly black city council. We have we had a black police commissioner. I'm not sure how the commissioner is now. Black superintendent of the school. Like, and we're only 4.2 square miles. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we should be, as Damon keeps saying, the Wakanda of Westchester. Yeah. But our elected officials are giving away, not selling, giving away our vibranium. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we can't get it right. And when I cover all these rallies and marches and protests, most of the things they're fighting for, we have. They're fighting for higher black people in leadership and in the mayor's seat and the police commissioner and leadership. We have those things, and we can't get it right. You understand what I'm saying? And again, I had a conversation. The first person I had it with was Ernie, and I've had it with a lot of other elected officials. Y'all benefit on the electorate being uninformed or misinformed. You don't do anything to inform them. You know what I'm saying? And empower them. You know what I mean? And so that's how you have these things. And when you're misinformed, other people can tell you stuff.
Right.
And you don't have the information to like, no, that's not true. And we're not, our people are not verifying something. Like I could write something on Facebook today or say something on this show right now and share it on social media, and many other Black people in my city and in Westchester County will reshare it. And then their people, because they shared it, believe it's true because of it. And I just made this thing up. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Because no one is confirming, nobody is seeing if this is true. They just, so, and that's on us. We can't blame. I had to get to a point. I was married. I'm no longer married. Mm-hmm. But I had to get to a point where I can't blame my wife for decisions I made. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Like, seriously, there were some decisions I made, and I knew she was on that, whatever she was on, and I decided to engage her and go there and get my blood pressure up. I cannot no longer blame her for decisions I make. Black people, we could stop blaming others for decisions we're making or not making.
And you're right. And that's why I think even our conversation design has to change.
Absolutely.
Right. There's no revolution that needs to take place. Okay. I mean, people, you hear people, we're in a revolution. What revolution? The revolution has been fought. The civil rights movement, the Black Power movement. Malcolm X died never, ever imagining he couldn't even formulate the thought of Michelle Obama, Sasha Malia, President Barack Obama, and the mother-in-law living in the White House. That would have been unimaginable to him, okay?
Right,
And so my point is, the civil rights movement was about three things: the Voting Rights, Public Accommodations Bill, Fair Housing Act. All three of those were passed. Check, okay? So that means that part is over. We got that. Then, of course, we wanted to, as African Americans, gain access to capital. We've had 60 years of jobs. Washington's middle class was built on DC government jobs and federal government jobs. Where'd all that money go? Did it just go to parties and Congressional Black Caucus and fur coats? Why didn't we build anything? I mean,
exactly.
New York, same thing. I mean, we have everything we need. We're not fighting any revolution, okay? There's no need for a revolution. What struggle? The only struggle is for us to come together and make wise decisions and do the things that we know that we have to do. That's the struggle. I mean, that is the biggest struggle that we have as Black people. That's just straight up. Because as you said, everything we need, we have. And as strong as we are, nobody could stop us if we were together.
Exactly. We got 1.5
and our enemies know that, and know that as long as they can keep the tension between us and keep us adversarial, light skins against the blacks, the East versus the West, whatever, there's always a division. There's always something. And as long as they can keep that going, you got to figure, if you could sit back and not lift a finger and get your enemies to fight amongst themselves and take each other out.
Absolutely.
Without you doing anything.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. Like we have to do better. And until we do better, like we made a comment before and Damon made it after, specifically Damon got some flack for saying this. Black lives matter. Mm-hmm. Black lives have to matter to Black people before they can matter to someone else. And Black lives matter.
No. The author of that is the great late Hafiz Muhammad.
No. I wasn't saying that, but I'm saying when you said it, you were getting some. There was a couple of knuckleheads.
Oh yeah. When I
right. That's what I'm saying. Right. That's what I'm saying. So, but until Black Lives matter to Black people,
right?
Why should they matter to anyone else? And when you talk about the revolution and the struggle and all that, I keep telling people, nothing we got as a people in this country was given to us because it was the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
It's because we fought for it.
We fought
various different ways. Some of it was violence, but
absolutely.
But we fought for it, and we refused. They didn't let them people back on the bus because it was the right thing to do.
Right.
They stayed off the bus for over a year, and that bus company was about to go bankrupt. They was like, give them Negroes whatever they want, but get their butts back on the bus.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Let them sit wherever they want. If that's the issue, we have to fight for it. And I say, as Black Westchester, I'm tired when me and Damon are joining you for your fight, and when the rocks come back, why are we the only ones getting hit? Where are you at? This is your fight. We were here to fight with you, not fight for you. And I'm no longer fighting for people who won't. Now, who can't? Because we will always fight for those who can't.
Right.
Who won't fight for themselves. Yeah. I'm not going out there and putting all my political capital and everything on the line for you, and you won't fight for yourself. And I say that as a Black man. I say that as a Black man. So why do we expect white people to give us things and do things for us that we won't do for ourselves? Why do we? Go ahead,
brother. We're always distracted. Like, you got Black folks talking about this boycott. Okay, I always support boycott. I think Black people need to take their money, support Black businesses. But I think that's what I was saying. But here you got Negroes talking boycott, but they're taking people off of the things that which actually happening in government is that crypto prices rally, right? Because Trump is talking about a crypto reserve. These are the things we need to keep our eye on to create generational wealth.
Wait, and they got on Eric because he said he wanted his first 2 checks or whatever in crypto. Remember that? Remember when he first said that? Everybody was calling him an idiot and calling him he was crazy. He was all this.
And we're not paying attention, brother. We're not paying attention. And the thing is, you got Democrats fighting against people getting $5,000, right? So I'm like, and then you got Crockett talking about we don't need the money. Everybody need $5 grand.
No, she doesn't need the money. The people in Congress,
much money
that's why they won't pass that bill to stop them from being in the stock market, because
that's right.
Everybody that goes to America, their network goes to Congress, their network increases. Net worth increases exponentially. So she doesn't need $5,000. That's nothing to her. But we we all could use it.
Exactly. And then take that money and invest in crypto. Don't go buy Gucci bags or anything. Take that money and invest in crypto. We have to begin to look at things. How do we benefit from these things as Black people? Stop whining and stop worrying about things that really not even affect you. DEI, and you ain't benefit from that.
Right. 4% of the jobs, DEI covers everything from people with disability. It's everything. It's
exactly.
Not and it's an important issue. But why do they present it as a Black issue? You know why?
Exactly.
They know that the loudest voices, the most emotional people, Black people will fight for something. And what we don't have sense enough to do is ask ourselves, what are we really fighting for? Now you got Black people in social media today. I stand with Ukraine over our president. I mean, so really you fight, you stand with Ukraine. Okay. You stand with a corrupt government, and you want us to continue to spend what some say 70 billion, some say 300 billion. You want us to do that because you stand with Ukraine. So what next? you going to send your children to die in Ukraine?
Wait,
Is
wait,
that
wait.
you ready for your sons?
What's-
How much do you stand for Ukraine?
wait,
Exactly.
you know what? You know what? Those same people who say that don't understand that when we ask for something, they said they don't have money for it, but they got 300 billion or whatever it is to send to Ukraine. And why are we not? We're not working on the issues. That money could be working on the issues here. Like
Right.
Make
And you do
America
have a
great again to be
president,
like
and
yeah.
at least you have a president who's saying, "Look, we can't continue to fund." I mean, what Trump is saying to Europe is absolutely right.
Exactly.
Listen, Hitler's been dead 80 years, okay? NATO was formed to stop him at a time when he had taken over the European continent, okay?
Right.
Why should Americans, we have areas, listen, we live in a relatively prosperous area, okay? Go upstate New York into some of these
Exactly.
towns. Go to
Exactly.
Ohio, go to Pennsylvania, go to West Virginia. Just whole areas have been wiped out. And why should Switzerland and France, Great Britain, Germany, England, why should we be financing European the protection of Europe? Okay, and Trump has said rather correctly, you guys have to equalize. You
That's
got
right.
to pay your share. Okay,
That's right.
the whole thing with Zelensky, he's saying, look, if I had been president, and we don't know if this is true or not, but one thing we do know, the war didn't start until Biden came in, okay? And Russia is not going to have NATO at its door. It's just not going to happen. Just like in 1960, the Cuban Missile Crisis was about Kennedy saying to Khrushchev, listen, you're not going to have nuclear missiles 90 miles from us, okay?
Right.
And then, of course, Khrushchev said, well, you got to get your missiles out of Turkey. And that's how they resolved that. Putin's not going to
Right.
let NATO be at his border, okay? The North American
Right.
Treaty Organization is not going to be at the border of Russia. And so he's saying to Zelensky, listen, I can help you get a deal. We'll go into business with you with your minerals. Therefore, we're on the ground. Russia's not going to attack,
Exactly.
and we can get some billions
Exactly.
back that we've given you in
Exactly.
weapons. But what has happened is the American people are so divided that these leaders come here and they try to play off the American public, the Congress, and the media. Netanyahu does this, and
All
and
the time.
usually the president sits there, basically impotent, but not Trump. Trump said, "Listen, you aren't playing any cards. You don't have any cards to play, okay? Now I'm going to get you this deal." Almost 1 million young men have died. Over what? And that's one thing I like about Trump. He said, we got to stop these endless wars. 1 million young men have died over this war, and basically nothing has changed. And at the end of the day, what are the people posting blue and gold flags saying, Negroes, I stand with Ukraine? What are they ultimately prepared to do? Send their own children, 18, 19-year-old boys, to die over there? The North Koreans sent soldiers over there, and they've been slaughtered. So at the end of the day, if the man is saying, let's get a peaceful deal, to me, that makes sense. I mean, that's the best thing
Right.
I've heard thus far.
And he did the same thing with Netanyahu, but not as direct.
Right.
When he said, well, we'll come over there. And
Yeah.
because what he's saying is, we gave y'all so much money, we're
Yeah.
invested
Yeah.
in Gaza.
Yeah. Now he's going to have more trouble with that because the Arab partners, but again, all these young people who are protesting for the Palestinians, which is correct. But what they don't understand is the Saudis, the Qataris, all these people in these Emirates, they do business with Israel. They talk to Israel.
Exactly.
They're all, any solution is going to involve all of them. So, these are you can't be irrational. And I guess all young people are, and we were, about politics. You can't be irrational about issues. You got to think things through, because at the end of the day, our feelings don't really change anything. It's only working through these kinds of things, looking at the issues when they come up. And one of the things I would say is that, there are issues we're going to disagree with Trump about, but the goal is not to be the first one out to say, look at the latest outrage. He moved General Brown, and people were in an uproar, but he purged a number of generals. And what the average American, I saw Touré, a cultural critic.
Yeah, that was horrible.
I don't know what he thinks he knows about military matters. He probably doesn't know a left face from a parade rest.
That was horrible, brother.
I mean, first of all, the president is the commander in chief of the military. That's not up for debate. There's no. He is the commander in chief. And if he'd had any military training or paramilitary training, as you gentlemen have, you understand that in a military structure, it's not a discussion. You hear and obey. It is what it is. And so we expend capital on that fight. We didn't remember that he hired the man, but the man was a big advocate for DEI. And now the state Pentagon, they're going a different direction. So that happens. So the point is, what are we going to expend the capital on, the energy? And I don't think we've really figured that out yet. I mean, and that's the part.
Everything is not a hill we need to die on.
Everything is not a hill we need to die on.
But we're misdirected on purpose.
Right.
And I keep a lot of this stuff is on purpose. It's on purpose because we have yet pastors are not even talking about, and I was finishing an article on how the Black church itself could create generational wealth just by the 30,000 Black churches supporting 10 businesses and then networking with each other. Each church support 10 businesses. And with the money that's generated through the Black church with the Black members, we could create, we got 2.something% of businesses. We only needed to get it to 7, let's say 9%. If we could get it to 9%, we could change lives. But we still, because how are Jewish people 2%? Right? And they got a large chunk of American businesses.
There was a church in Georgia, a new company, a new Black company. He came to the church. The pastor uplifted whatever he was doing, I don't know, selling the items that he was selling or whatever, and told everybody in that one of those big mega churches to go. He'll be out in the parking lot. They'll be sitting out in the parking lot, buy everything. He was like, yo, for the next months, he was sitting there showing them, bringing carts to the post office for FedEx. He's like, this is the effect of that church, because he had a big congregation. He was talking about Black, supporting our Black companies. He found a Black company that he believed in, told everybody to support it and why they should. And this company grew exponentially because of that pastor saying that one Sunday at the pulpit. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say it's possible what you're talking about, because it actually is happening. It actually did happen in Atlanta in the last.
Well, let me ask you something, Conrad. Now, but now pastors with churches, does any, like, do they ever say, "Hey, look, man, we're going to have we're going to have what the community needs: supermarket, laundromat." You know what I'm saying? Services.
Yeah, there certainly are churches that are doing that across the country. But, one of the things that we have to understand when we say churches, the churches aren't a monolith. You got storefront churches, you got very sophisticated entities and community-based organizations. You got churches that are so heavenly bound, they're no earthly good. So, it's you got all kinds of churches. But one thing I will agree is that there are enough examples, really, of people who have actually implemented that, that we could draw from the successes. Our issue is coordination, and our issue is sort of developing an overall Black agenda. It really comes back to that. And it see, what I'm beginning to realize is that it's really simple. It's more simple than it's complicated. Booker T.
Right.
Washington gave us, on one level, the roadmap. Okay, he said, "Listen, develop some skills that you can sell in the open market." Okay, he was not a big advocate for doctors and brain surgeons because at that time we just hadn't got the basics. In his Atlanta Compromise speech, he said what they call the Atlanta Compromise speech. He said, "Isn't it strange that in Atlanta we have all of these elected officials, but not one we don't own one dairy farm?" And so, first of all, I believe Don King said something, Mr. Muhammad understood something. We have to embrace the free market. We have to embrace capitalism. That's something that we've got to dispense of this socialist notion, Marxist, Leninist stuff. That we've been through that. Okay, that was good in post-colonial Africa and the Caribbean in the 50s and 60s, and some places in the world even today. Maybe that makes more sense. But millions of people are coming to America because there's something that's happening here. All of these immigrants, they're coming. I tell my students every day, ask yourself, if this country was so bad, why are all of these people descending upon this place from all over the world? They see something that we don't see. Number one.
Sending their kids to college here.
Number one, they see that with a dream, with an idea, here you can build something. So we've got to embrace capitalism, the free market. We got to get out of this Marxist Leninist analysis. If you ask the average Black person, what is capitalism? They say, well, capitalism, it has to have somebody at the bottom. That's, and I remind people, when you talk like that, that's a Marxist explanation of capitalism. Capitalism is the free market. It says, if I got a hamburger and then it's good, and you got a hamburger and yours isn't as good, people are gonna buy my hamburger, okay? And that's why you were able to. That's the free market. It just says, you listen. You can sell a hamburger, or you can sell drugs, or you can make rap records. It's so interesting. I never heard one dope dealer say he was a Marxist. I never heard one dope dealer talk against capitalism. But the thing is, you don't want to sell dope. Don't take over. Don't corner the market of drugs. We could do this, the Alpo, and they could have done the same thing with bodegas. I mean, take over the market of bodegas in any town in America. Corner the market. Then get that money, do what you guys are doing. You build a newspaper. Now you're building a radio program. That's an institution. Some people will build a restaurant. Some people will build a school. These are all institutions. And that's what we have to continue to do and embrace. The revolution was fought, but our ancestors put us in a place where our fight is not their fight. We don't have, my life is better than my father's life. My life is much better than my grandfather's life. My children have never really even encountered racism, okay? They got a lot of issues before them, but racism is not in the top 10, okay? And I'm just going to be honest with you, okay? Okay? And so we have to be honest about that, because if we don't understand the landscape, we can't make progress. Anybody you hear that's talking like Huey P. Newton, Malcolm X, you should say, brother, that message was great 60 years ago. Now you got to have a new message, because the conditions are changed. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't invalidate all of that. It doesn't say that what they did, it was great, it was important, but they placed us on a mountain. They gave us a different vantage point. Now, what are we going to do with the vantage point that they've given us. That's, to me, I think is the new Black thinking as we move forward. Just, I was raised like you. They taught us not to salute the flag, not to
Right.
stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And we always had that little thing in us where we didn't want to do that because, like, are we letting them off the hook? I mean, but I would say that because of our ancestors, like you said, AJ, they didn't change the laws in the South because they wanted to. They changed it because of courageous people like Miss Rosa Parks. They like E.D. Nixon, like
Right.
Martin Luther King Jr. That's who made them change it. And because they did change it, we don't have the same fight that they had. And so
Right.
what are our fights? Our fights really are us getting together and continuing to make good things happen. That to me, I think, is our greatest struggle.
I wanna first two things. One, I want to invite you to come back as often as you want.
Thank you. I
Two,
appreciate that.
since we are, we like to we're going into 3 hours now. I wanted to give you last words and end this. And then I believe I come from the school of leave them wanting more than giving them too much. So
I got it. I think we've said enough. The only thing I'm going to say is Eric Adams has done a fantastic job in New York City. We need to support him. One thing Barack Obama said, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. He's not Jesus, but he's a good mayor. And Blacks have access to City Hall. We have access to city contracts, have access to jobs and city government. And it doesn't make sense to me for Black people to say Eric should step down. And Andrew Cuomo just announced today, and Cuomo left office in disgrace. He's got scandals that, believe me, we're going to hear about, because there are thousands of people who feel like he did a terrible job during COVID. And a lot of their parents died in nursing homes because of his policies. Women have not forgotten the women that he's accused of being inappropriate with. And so, to me, one of the critical things, and I'll leave you with this, that's going to demonstrate that Black people have come of age in this city, is if Black ministers stand up and say, we got to keep City Hall. If Black elected officials, Tish James, Hakeem Jeffries, come to their senses and say, Percy Sutton, the architect of so much Black power, Al Van, our forefathers, they would say, hold City Hall, okay? Hold on to what you got. B.W. Smith, the late great Baptist minister in Buffalo, he preaches a sermon. You should listen to it tonight, Damon and AJ. It'll teach you about what we need to do in New York right now. He said, the sermon was entitled, "You got what you wanted, and you lost what you had." And for those of us who remember when David Dinkins left and Giuliani came in, I think it would be unwise, foolish, and almost suicide for us to take Eric Adams out of office and put Andrew Cuomo in. That would be the most foolish thing that we've ever done. So that's my hope, that we'll come to our senses, preachers, elected officials, people in the region. Let's start pumping the message. Keep Eric in 4 more years. That's what we got to push for. It'll get better in the next 4 years, but we got to get 4 more years.
I want to just say one thing,
Sure.
and then we're going to keep it moving. When you made a comment and you were saying that your kids haven't encountered racism,
yeah,
it's not that they have not seen any sort of racism. What you said was, out of the many things that they got to deal with, racism is not at the top of it, as it was for you, and it was for your grandparents, and it was for your parents. Not that it doesn't exist, because he said your kids haven't encountered racism. Really, right. It's not as big a problem as it was for your father and your grandfather.
And that's important. And that's important for us to admit, because these kids today need to understand, damn it, you don't have no structural legal barriers from you doing what you want to do. If you want to be a doctor today, you can do it. If you want to be a police commissioner, you can do it. If you want to be on the police force, you can do it. Yeah,
If
okay,
you want
you
to
can
start
go
your
to
own
some.
business, if you want to be an entrepreneur and start your own business,
You can
you can
start
do
a
it.
business. Sure, you can always be able to go to some obscure town in Westchester and find some racist cracker. I mean, that's not the measure of it. What I'm saying is our grandparents literally lived in a society where they were second-class citizens. They legally were disenfranchised. They could not vote. They could not eat in certain restaurants. They could not go certain places. Our great grandparents lived under the Dred Scott. They had no law that a white man was, no rights that a white man was obligated to respect. We don't live in that kind of day anymore. So let's be honest about that. Let's shed the shackles of that and celebrate that we don't. And I feel like too many black people, we want to hold on to the possibility that we can play that card in case we run into it. And many of us who are 60, you and me, we're in that age where we come out of that world, but we really have to be honest. You know, the progress of our people have brought us to a different place. And we need to teach our children, get your behind up and go be whatever you want to be. Don't tell me about no racism. The only racism they hear is young white and Spanish kids talking about nigga, 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 because you taught them to do that in a rap record. So get your backside moving and do what it is that you want to do. You can be anything you want to be in this country today. And AJ, you're right, not because they wanted to, but because we fought. That's my point. See, some people will say, oh no, he's saying there's no racism. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is our movements and our people fought enough to destroy structural racism, okay? I don't see the Ku Klux Klan. I don't see any voter disenfranchisement. I see Negroes that don't go vote on election day. That's what I see. Now, if you show me some pictures of KKK, I'll accept that. But I haven't seen, I hear all these politicians, they're trying to disenfranchise us. Everywhere I go in Mount Vernon and all these places, I see Negroes sitting around that won't go vote. And there's a difference between disenfranchisement and people who just won't get up and show initiative. And we need to get
we are worse. We are worse. We are worse. We are our own worst enemy. As Kumo D said, I never ever ran from the Ku Klux Klan. I shouldn't have to run from a black man.
There you go.
So I'm gonna.
God bless.
Yeah, we gonna Damon, any last words?
Just hold on. I meant to put something too. Check us out tomorrow. Hold on a second. Hold on. Just talk, AJ. Let me bring this thing up.
All right. So we whether we just like to give information, and I just got a text. Darren Morton, the controller of the city of Mount Vernon, will present jointly with the Mount Vernon City School District on property taxes at the Mount Vernon City School Board of Education regular meeting at 6:30 this Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. Again, with everything being local. You got a problem with your school district. You got a problem with the taxes. You got a problem with what's going on in City Hall. They're having a joint meeting. Now, that place should be packed. And the important thing, and this is what I want to leave everybody with, and I say this everywhere, we have to come to these meetings not only to be heard, but to hear.
Right.
Because that's the only way it works. Like, everybody wants to be heard, and then they want to make a big thing, and then they leave. Like, but you're not coming there to hear, and until we come to hear, nothing will ever be done. So I'm not saying any of these factions are the all the be all, and they all whatever, but they're gonna meet, and there's gonna be a meeting that's gonna be dealing with the school district, and it's gonna be dealing with the taxes that's owed, and it's gonna be dealing with all that. Everybody needs to come out Tuesday, March 4th, 6:30 at the Board of Education regular meeting. If you don't show up, like, we can't keep complaining if we're not showing up. Like, we gotta stop that. Like, yo, we don't go to the city council meetings. We don't go to the school board meetings. We don't go to the county legislature. Most people don't even know there are county legislator meetings.
And we don't go to jury duty. We complain.
We don't go to jury duty. We have the first black commissioner of jurors in Westchester County who came on the show and is trying to get more of us on juries. So when they said judged by a jury of your peers, it will actually be a jury of your peers. As one of the things we talk about for criminal justice, we don't talk about that part, which is one of the biggest things we can do for criminal justice is be on some of those juries we're being judged on.
That is very important. I don't know if a lot of people in Westchester will remember Messiah Baptist Church. And at Messiah Baptist Church, there was a Baptist minister by the name of Reverend Darrell George. Reverend George pastored in Yonkers, but he lived in Millburn, New Jersey. And I'll give you a perfect example. He got into a racial issue with his son in Millburn at the school. He was charged, his son was charged. And Millburn's a sort of lily white town in Essex County. But the fact that his grand jury hearing, I came to his aid and we brought perspective to the case. But the fact that his grand jury hearing was in Newark, okay, because that's the seat of Essex County. Reverend George said when he saw those jerseys and gold chains and big pants, he knew that he wouldn't be indicted. And of course, not only was he not indicted, but the white boys that beat up his son, they were arrested. And so our being there in the jury system, all that's so important. And going to City Hall, you're not going because you want to fight Whitey and that. You're going for your economic interests. You want to see what are they going on? What kind of taxes are they trying to push? That's the way we got to think. And I guess the last place where racism affects us is in the criminal justice system. To me, I think, the brothers that get arrested and pulled into the system, I think that's really the last real bastion of systematic racism. I think, if you keep young people out of the system, generally speaking, that they'll do all right. But when we fall behind the system, then of course, and a lot more systematic racism exists. So,
that still falls on us because we vote for the mayor that appoints the police commissioner.
Right.
And a lot of times we don't even turn out for the district attorney race.
Yeah.
And we don't look at we cannot, or we haven't put that coalition together. We have to have a competent mayor that's going to hire a competent police commissioner, that's going to have accountability and transparency of his police department. Then we gotta show up and show out for who we vote for district attorney, because not all cases, like some cases are determined on your district attorney and what district attorney, what ADAs that they hire around them.
Right.
So we can't blame nobody but ourselves when we don't turn out. Fact of the matter is, Jamal Bowman race, the Jews had 6,000 absentee ballots. Guess what the total of Mount Vernon, the total vote of a city of 80,000 people, 6,000. They had just as many absentee ballots as a whole city.
Right. And listen, in Newark, New Jersey, a city of 300,000 people, Raz Baraka was elected mayor with 13,000 votes. I mean, it's just, I'm just saying, it's not racism. That's what I'm saying. The Jamal Bowman's race was not racism. I mean, listen, you got Jewish people in that district for which Israel is a number one issue for them. Okay, I don't care who it was. If you're running against this, you're going to have a problem with us. Now, Black people needed to define their interests. But the question was Jamal Bowman, and I don't live in Westchester, I don't judge politicians in areas. So was he working in, did he touch the issues for African Americans? I don't know. You all have to decide that. I know AOC and all of them are not interested in the Black empowerment. The problem.
He was, but his understanding of what Westchester black people were, they're different from the Bronx.
Yeah.
You can't. And I told him, I said, bro, you can't stand at the podium talking about revolution in Greenberg.
Right. Absolutely.
What's wrong with you?
And that's the point. That's the point. You know,
exactly.
Black politics. Leave the left alone. Leave this Marxist Leninist crap alone. The communists have been talking about this for since the 30s. There ain't never gonna be no revolution against America. And communists, show me a communist country you want to live in or a socialist country you want to live in. I'll help you raise the money to buy the ticket. Okay, so let's just talk to people where they are, and
that's right.
People care about their home, their family, their children, health care. Stay focused on those issues. And people are not looking for, listen, you're not Malcolm X if you got a government salary and health care plan, okay? You're not. So stop trying to act like that. You're not Malcolm X, okay?
Hey, man, I was out there hitting them.
I'm glad to say I ain't got none of that. So,
but what I'm saying is you're a legislator. Malcolm did his job, but you don't have to do that. Just be a great legislator. That's fine. I mean, that's what if you're an activist, that's one thing. Right. But my point is, if you're in Congress, performative stuff is not going to help us.
Exactly.
Get some legislation passed that will help us. That's what we need. You know what I mean? We don't need the congressman. Let the activists talk about revolution or whatever they're going to talk about. Congressmen, sit down with those Republicans, come up with some legislation where you can come back and say, this is going to help you.
Absolutely. I just want to say,
brother, we got to bring you back, man. We got to bring you back.
I want to say in closing, talking about local issues, we complain about the school. We have a school board election coming up in the next month or so, in the next couple of months. Why is that important? Because like your mayor appoints your police commissioner, your school board appoints your superintendent of the school. You understand what I'm saying? So if you want things to change, that's how you make change. These races are very, you get a couple of hundred votes. You get like almost 1,000 votes. You can win. Right. You can win one of those because nobody shows up. Library trustee, you get 200 votes, you might win. Like, you know what I'm saying? We got to do better. And we can't complain. So one of the biggest issues is our school. Forget about what's happening nationally. What about the school? We have an election coming up. Find out who find out who these trustees are. Find out the ones who's been there for the longest, that's still there. Find out who's running, what they're about, and make informed decisions. And put what you want in a superintendent. So that when you vote these people in, they have to make those choices. You know what I'm saying? This is how you make a difference. Then you will be able to fix some of the things in your school district. We had a show about the whole thing about charter school and public school, and I've seen a couple of those comments come up. We talked about that last week. We're not doing that this week. But, this is how, instead of complaining, what are you doing to help the public school system? What are you doing to make it better? Whether you got kids or not, it is your problem. It is your issue, because these kids don't get educated. They're going to be knocking you upside your head, taking your pocketbook when you're 70 years old. So it is your problem. You understand what I'm saying? And your tax dollars pay for this stuff. So it is your issue, whether you have kids in the district or not. Be involved. And on all levels, be involved. If you're not involved, shut the fuck up. You have nothing to say. I don't want to hear from you. Excuse my language. I'm tired of hearing people complain and they're not doing anything. We've said it the politically correct way. We've said it the nice way. We've said it all. I don't know. I don't speak any other languages. I don't know any other way to say it. So that's how I said it. Somebody's going to say I cursed and said the F word, and they're going to get mad at me. So what? The point is, get involved. What they say, shit or get off the pot. Get involved or shut up. That's all I have to say. And that's on every aspect of what's going on here. All the things we talked about. Right. Get involved or shut up. Right. And with that, we're closing the show on that one. Get involved or shut up. Peace.
I love it. Thank you, brothers. Have a good evening.
Thank you, brother. And tomorrow, everybody, check out Tasha Young, Elevation Nation, at 6 p.m. with Reverend Margaret Coleman. We kicking off Women's History Month.
Yes.
So check us out tomorrow at 6 p.m. And I want to thank your brothers, man.
And Conrad, before we go, the lady that's going to be on the show tomorrow, Margaret and her husband, Margaret and Frank Coleman, are the new pastors of Messiah Baptist in Yonkers that you were just talking about.
Oh, yeah, I know
they
Frank
are the
Coleman.
pastors.
He was at Tuckahoe. Okay.
Right. They are the pastors
okay, wonderful.
Of Messiah Baptist Church in Yonkers. So that's who's going to be on.
Okay, wonderful.
So this has been Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show. We on every Sunday, 6 to 8. Sometimes we go a little overtime, as you see. Sometimes we cut it a little short when ain't nothing going on. But it's been a very good conversation. I thank everybody who tuned in. Like, subscribe, share, leave comments, what you think. And more importantly, if you like what was being said here, share it with other people. Help us build this audience. Help us build the algorithms to draw more attention. And more importantly, if you like what you heard, support.
All right.
Because this stuff, it costs money to do this stuff. I'm keeping it real. So, support.
Absolutely.
So with that, we out. Peace.
Peace.
This is the People Before Politics show, broadcast every Sunday at 6 p.m. Hosts Damon K. Jones and AJ Woodson bring you the news that impacts our community. Join us for unfiltered, unapologetic coverage of the stories that matter most. Black Westchester Magazine presents The People Before Politics show, the news with the Black point of view.